What's good, y'all? The Toronto Raptors finally had their starting five together on the road against the Boston Celtics, who played, for the most part, played their starters. And if you were someone who was going to use this game as a barometer for how good or bad the Toronto Raptors season was going to go, you're panicking right now. And honestly, I don't like to put too much stock into preseason, but this did not look good. This looked horrible. The Toronto Raptors come out with that starting lineup. Finally, Jakob playing, recovered from his illness. He still looked a little bit sluggish. And they had the chemistry of oil and water with that starting five. It looked really bad. Quickly didn't know what to do. RJ didn't know what to do. Scottie didn't know what to do. BI was kind of doing his own thing. Jakob he didn't really know what to do either. So it's just like there's just this constant everyone getting in each other's way stuff that was happening. And tonight, for all the talent the Toronto Raptors have, Derek White was by far the best player on the court. Let's take a look at how this game broke down. Pull this off here. So the Toronto Raptors, they had a pretty rough start to that first quarter. They got down pretty big very early. And then the melded lineups, the bench lineups mixed with a couple starters. So Scottie plus a couple of bench players, BI plus the bench players. Those are the lineups that yielded, in my opinion, the most positive results for this team. Also, shout outs to the Blue Jays. They keep their season alive, beating the Mariners. Go Jays. So it was just a really tough game from a process standpoint. A lot of stuff to talk about, good and bad. Okay. So let's just say one good and one bad thing about every single player. Brandon Ingram, the good. I mean, I like that he's getting comfortable. I like that he played, a team leading 32 minutes. Maybe not the most, inspiring thing that he was a -5 in those 32 minutes, but nevertheless, I think he played hard. He tried to attack the rim as much as he could. He got on the glass. He had 10 rebounds. Notoriously, teams have always asked him to be a better rebounder. I think he got that tonight. On the downside, I think he forced a lot of really tough shots that he didn't really need to. There were a couple times where, a double team or a triple team came towards him and he held on to the ball a little bit too long. Scottie Barnes. Whew, tough game. Okay, so the good is he attacked the rim relentlessly. He played really good defense. The bad, and he got on the glass. So that's another positive. So he did pretty much what the Toronto Raptors media was asking him to do. Cut out the threes, don't take as many mid-range shots. Okay, cool. But the bad, the touch around the basket is very bad right now. He smoked what felt like a point blank layup. There was a one in transition, just didn't have good touch around the rim. And overall, I think right now he just looks like a guy who's trying to avoid getting injured. That's the best way I could describe it. He's slowing down in transition. I think the passing was also elite. Like his process was really good tonight. Unfortunately, he didn't have the ball enough. And then when he didn't have the ball, he was just not good. And I think people maybe have oversold the idea of Scottie Barnes as an off ball player. I don't know how good he is off ball when the guy on ball is Emmanuel Quickley or RJ Barrett. It's one thing to play off of Dennis Schroeder. It's another thing to play off of Pascal Siakam. These guys are guys who are trained veterans who have years and years of experience running offenses. It's a completely different situation when you are going to, put the ball in Emmanuel Quickley's hands and say, okay, RJ Barrett, find your offense, or Scottie Barnes, find your offense, because very often it just feels like it's just bad. Jakob, the good, he got his wind underneath him. He had some good rim protection plays, whatever. Felt a step slow defensively, ended up getting 3 blocks anyways. 8.7 rebounds, solid debut, preseason debut for Yak. He didn't try too much, didn't force too much, only had 1 turnover, but he was a team worst in the starting lineup, -9. And that was largely because he was just slow in transition. He was very slow in transition. He was very slow to, rotate. And I think defensively left a lot on the court. And then offensively, of course, he's just not providing what Sandro Mamukelashvili is providing, which is the drive, space, quick attack, right? Mamu just feels sharper right now. And that makes sense. Yak is coming off a illness. Mamu just played all summer with Georgia. Like Mamu is in mid-season shape right now. So yeah. Anyways, moving on to RJ Barrett, the good. He was relatively efficient, 7 for 12, very good, right? He had only 1 turnover. And if you didn't watch this game, you might have actually thought he's the best player. The bad, the defense. And we're going to look at it in the film breakdown. It is so bad. The off-ball awareness offensively and the defensive awareness, both on the ball and off the ball, is atrocious. It makes whatever you're trying to do with the starting lineup impossible. Emmanuel Quickley, the good. I don't have anything good to say about Emmanuel Quickley today. I really don't. You can say he got to the line. There you go. There's something. He got to the line. He got 1 turnover for 6 assists. 6 assists to 1 turnover is a great ratio. The bad, he missed every single three, almost every single three he took. And honestly, the double bad, he didn't even take all the ones that I wanted him to take. There are a couple times where, he's wide open and he's passing the ball ahead to RJ Barrett to drive into a double team. And I'm like, bro, you got to take that shot. He just does not know what to do in this offense. He thinks he's the point guard. RJ thinks he's the point guard. Ingram thinks he's the point guard. Scottie thinks he's the point guard. Someone's got to fit in and someone's got to fit out. And right now, the role on fitting out is pretty much Scottie Barnes. Like, he just doesn't fit with this unit. And at times, it's largely due to the players playing around him, in my opinion. He looked a lot better with that second unit. He looked a lot better in that second, in that second game he played last game. He looked terrible in the first game. He looked terrible in this game. So if you're looking for, hey, how do my two best, highest paid players fit together, Ingram and Barnes, they've lost all their minutes so far. They look horrible together. And it's not, in my opinion, again, just watching them play, if you put those two with the 3 suitable players on this team, which in my opinion would be Mamu, Ochai, Jakobi, like, if you put those two with that 3, it works. And a lot of people just get gassed up on the talent, right? They get gassed up on, dude, this guy's a 20-point game scorer. Well, we've seen a lot of times in NBA history where teams try to stack 2, 3 dominant scorers like the Bradley Beals, Kevin Durant. It doesn't work because you need people to do things off the ball. And right now, Scottie Barnes is being asked to do a lot of stuff off the ball. Jakob is being asked to do a lot of stuff off the ball. But they are occupying the exact place on the court that Ingram and Barrett and, Quickley, frankly, need to operate. It doesn't work. Your 2 guys who can do all the glue guy stuff in your starting lineup are your 2 worst shooters in your starting lineup. It doesn't make sense. So the way this offense can make sense is, frankly, you get Quickley off the ball to provide some space. You get Ingram a little bit more off the ball to provide some space, and you run point through RJ and Scottie until you find a trade for RJ. I think that would be the right thing to do. Off the bench, Ochai Agbaji, honestly, forget the bench or the starters. Ochai Agbaji is my player of the game. I thought he was smart. I thought he defended really reasonably well. I think he, located to the corner a couple times and got a couple open threes from Scottie Barnes in the corner. There's a play we're going to look at and dissect where Scottie asks RJ Barrett to fan to the corner. We'll take a look at it. He doesn't. He demands a post up. It turns into a missed shot or a turnover. The same play a couple quarters later, we have Scottie and Ochai in the same action, and Ochai clears out when Scottie asks him to. It's the small things, but yeah. In terms of anybody else, Jacoby Walter, perfectly fine game, man. Nice to see him bounce back in terms of shooting performance. He's really struggling with his shot during the preseason. Scottie's struggling with his shot during preseason. Emmanuel Quickley is struggling with his shot during preseason. A lot of guys are going to have to, start hitting shots for this to work. But you get the semblance of talent on the Boston Celtics side. Chris Boucher gets his revenge, I guess. Neemias Queta looked like the most physical, athletic center on the court, which sucks if you're a Raptor fan. Derek White looked like the best player on the court by a country mile, and that sucks if you're a Raptor fan. Jaylen Brown only played 7 minutes in this game. Jaylen Brown was the reason why the Celtics were actually favored to win this game going into it, and he just left. He left in the first quarter. I think he played the first quarter, and he was out. And so he was +9 in his minutes. They dominated the Raptors in his minutes. And also Peyton Pritchard, who, he shot 1 for 11 and 0 for 8 from 3, kind of twinning Emmanuel Quickley's performance. But he was so impactful. It's ridiculous to see how 2 different players, both playing the same position, both shooting terribly, can have completely different impacts on the game. And I think Peyton Pritchard was a very positive player out there. If I didn't tell you that he went 1 for 11, you would have never known it. With Emmanuel Quickley, you can feel it. Like, he's going missing shots. Anthony Simons, I think, just an insanely overrated player. I thought he was horrible. And I just continue to think that he is just not a very good NBA player. Josh Minott got a lot of points, just out of the offense, 2 blocks, 9 rebounds, 9 points, 4 rebounds. He's just a good transition athlete. I really would have liked the Raptors to take a look at Josh Minot. I mean, he has some Scottie connections. He's just a really good wing to put next to Scottie. Someone mentioned in the comments Carter Bryant. This is a similar vein. You just need length and athleticism and guys who can do good things off the ball. And I think Josh fits that, and he's not a defensive liability. So let's move on to the film breakdown. And this, I think, is going to be interesting. Hove, I was saying, Scottie doesn't even box out. Well, then, getting 10 rebounds is pretty impressive if you don't box out. Gotta say, that's pretty amazing. But I will agree with you. Sometimes he just doesn't put a body on guys, and it is insanely frustrating. Okay, let's take a look at this. So 3 minutes into this game and starting to see this starting five together, and I have to say immediately you need a change. Okay, let's take a look at this play and why I felt so perturbed and so concerned immediately. Hang on one second, make myself small here. Okay, so here, this is obviously going to be defense. This is going to be defense, okay? So bear with me here. So here, RJ Barrett jumps, right? Completely out of control, gets himself out of the play. Now he's trying to get back into the play. Derek White. And to anyone out there who was like, why were the Raptors trying to trade RJ Barrett plus picks to get Derek White? This is why. Okay? This is why. Derek White's an insanely good player. RJ Barrett cannot not contest that shot. Like, what are we doing here? Like, you are down 3 points here. How can you afford to just walk past him without even anything? And quickly, just dangerous play here. Like, these two just really pissed me off today. I mean, Scottie had some really rough moments, which really annoyed the living crap out of me. But these two were next level Dumb and Dumber tonight, defensively. I mean, quickly clips him in the back. Like, what are you even doing? I don't get it. Okay. Now here, and this is another heartbreaking play. Look at this defense from the Toronto Raptors. I'm telling you, the starting five cannot defend. Last year, the Toronto Raptors finished after the All-Star break. They were a top 5 defense. And I'm going to tell you right now, they're not going to be a top 5 defense. They're not going to be a top 10 defense right now. If this starting five plays any meaningful minutes together, they're not going to be a top 20 defense. And by the looks of it, they're not going to be a top 20 offense either. So my projections of maybe they'll be a 50-win team. A lot has to go right for them to become anything close to a 45 to 50 win team right now. The good side is if this completely falls back, if you fall ass backwards on your face right now, if you're Toronto Raptors, if you have to tear this thing down, you got nothing but lottery talent ahead and you got your pick. So I'm perfectly fine with it. Personally, I think you got a lot of talent on this team. I like a lot of the young players. This is not doom or gloom. This is by far not a team that I would put at the bottom of the league in terms of future outlook or anything. I'm just telling you, you got a very rough starting five. And there's a reason why the Raptors have been shopping at least a couple of these players all off season. Because here you go. So here, Ingram is going to set a screen. Good job, Ingram. Holding position, something he has been frequently, criticized for not being willing to do. He's going to try to take, and here, Jakob Poeltl just throws it away. That's Neemias Queta, man. He's not Draymond Green, but he is still a 7-footer with a 7'4", 7'5" wingspan. You can't just throw this like this. And I just think this is poor process by Jakob Poeltl. I said all last season, I think he's very overrated as a passer. And Darko has consistently said, we're going to use him like a hub, like Domantas Sabonis, et cetera, et cetera. Yo, man, Domantas Sabonis is a really good passer. And he is levels and levels and levels below the type of player who warrants his usage. So if you're going to try to use Jakob Poeltl as a spacing hub, the problem here is he has no space. So the defense can just sit and play for the pass. They have no threat. You're not a threat there. So they got 4 players who most optimally start their offense close to the basket. If you want to run Yak as a pick and roll guy, if you want to use Yak the way Nick Nurse used Jakob with Fred, I can understand that. And we didn't see a lot of that with Emmanuel Quickley and Jakob Poeltl or whatever. You got to use him when he's on the court. He's got to be a threat to score. And right now, using him as a playmaking hub from the 3-point line, it just results in turnovers like this. And then the Celtics, they don't screw up transition. I cannot count the number of times the Raptors blew transition buckets today. To lose by only 2, given how poorly they played, whew, yeah. CV good, CV God, you don't know what you're talking about, quite frankly. And that's okay. We're not devoting any time to people like you today. Getting worse every year. You're a moron. Okay, so here, Jakob Poeltl does the right thing here, right? He stops the ball handler. because RJ Barrett is not in the play. If Jakob Poeltl does not stop the ball handler here, Derek White going straight to the basket. There's nothing to stop Derek White. And this is the value of being a good pull-up jump shooter. Is a good value of being a good pull-up jump shooter is you command this type of attention. But here, I think everyone can see Neemias Queta is cutting right here. And RJ Barrett turns his back to him. Nobody is going to pick up Queta here. This is on Barrett or Ingram. Someone has to tag the roller here. And boom, Queta is going to get back and just get a wide open dunk. This should never, ever have happened. We need to bring awful coaching back here to rip the shit out of this defense because it is bad. Okay, now here is a play that I think warrants great dissection, and it is going to tie perfectly to a play that comes up a little bit later. Okay, so here, Scottie has Queta, which is a good matchup for Scottie. Everyone on the court needs to clear out to the opposite side. Everybody needs to do that so that he can generate the advantage because he can take Queta off the bounce. Okay, so here, Jakob Poeltl is going to first demand a post up. He reads the situation and kind of gets out of the way. He knows this is not my play. And here, Scottie is going to tell RJ to cut to the opposite wing. And therefore, the player at the opposite wing, which I think is Ingram right now, would have to then relocate to the top. But here, we see a very weird situation where Barrett's like, you know what? You know what's better than a Neemias Queta dribble drive where you collapse the defense and pass to the corner? Me posting up, Peyton Pritchard. So Scottie's not going to fight it. He's like, okay, whatever, cool. Let's just do this. But now you get the double team and you got the shot clock on your side. And I don't think RJ Barrett knew what time was on the clock. I think Scottie knew there was enough time on the clock for him to drive against Queta. But for him to survey the court here, get doubled, throw this absolutely terrible pass off target to Quickly, the point guard, to not immediately know how much time is on the clock and try to grenade this over to Ingram so that he can miss this shot is ridiculous. You just have two players who don't process the court at all, and it's frustrating. And here, now let's get on to defense. Quickly goes for the gamble. He's asking for help. Who are you asking for help? There's nobody there. It's your man. What are you doing? And Ingram kind of misdirected here, ends up being late on the closeout, and the Celtics get a 3. And if you're wondering, is that the end of the suffering? Is that the end of the terribleness of the basketball? No, it just gets worse and worse because the very same play next time down, here, RJ Barrett is going to barrel to the basket and drive right over Derek White. You can't make this shit up. You can't. And he was upset about it. Like, come on now. Okay. I say nice. This is what you need to allow to happen. You need to give Scottie the Derek White or, Xavier Tillman or whatever matchup. They don't have a good matchup for Scottie Barnes. They don't have a good matchup for Ingram either. So putting the ball in one of their hands, they have great matchups for Quickly. They have great matchups for RJ. They have great matchups for all these guys. I promise you, I am preaching the truth, okay, about basketball. And the truth about basketball is you need to collapse 2 to the basketball. Here, Scottie does his job, 2 to the basketball. Perfect. Because Mamu gave him the ball. That's why. And Scottie is unselfish. So he's going to give the ball right back to Mamu. And he doesn't need all this time. Perfect. Perfect basketball, man. So I really like this play defensively. Really tenacious backcourt defense. And this is the second game in a row where Anthony Simons has just not been able to handle the Raptors' pressure here. Tillman is trying to set the screen on the wrong side. Should have set it on the left side of the defender. But here, he's trying to get away with it. Simons dribbles into a corner and exposing the ball here. Jakob just rips it. Perfect. And then it was 2 the other way. They get onto it. Okay. To the Scottie Barnes doesn't go to the basket crowd. Well, he went right to the basket. Almost all of his buckets tonight were right at the paint. Here, what I say, you don't have a good matchup for him. Anthony Simons not a good matchup for him. But again, do you want Scottie to go through the defense a little bit more? Yes. And if he's still doing this once preseason is over, I will officially sound the alarm and say I'm concerned because right now everything is fading away from contact. He's not really inviting contact very much. When he does invite contact, he's really shielding his ankles. Like you can see, like he's trying not to land on anyone's foot. Scottie has been plagued with a ton of knick-knack injuries, and he's just trying to make it to the season. In my opinion, again, in my opinion, he's trying to make it to the season as healthy as possible so that this team can actually win. He has real goals this year. So coming out and getting injured against the Celtics will put a real damper on this season because frankly, you don't really have anyone who can do what he can do for your team. Here, ironically, on a Barnes miss, Barnes is going to have 2.5 seconds on the clock. You know what's interesting is that even in this situation where the clock is not visible, he still has that management in his head of this is how much time there's on the clock. Tillman probably doesn't know how much time there's on the clock. Otherwise, he'd be pushing him further out. But here, Scottie Barnes, beautiful fadeaway, makes the shot. Okay. And let's talk about the next play here. Okay. And, like maybe he does care about preseason. He had a couple blocks. He had actually 3 blocks tonight. They only credited him with 2, but he definitely had 3. So that's one of the weak side blocks. They were all exactly the same. They were all help side blocks. I think he's one of the best weak side shot blockers in the NBA, and I hope to see more of that. In fact, in his All-Star season, he had 3.7 blocks per 100 possessions, which was the highest of his career. And he played a lot of weak side, help defense in the lower third that year. I think this is something he can do for this team that nobody else really can, because I don't really think Jakob Poeltl is a dominant rim protector, so he can do a little bit of this. Here, Jakob Walter, just, I like smart basketball players. I really do. And Jacoby is a smart basketball player. Here, he passes it out to RJ Barrett. Barrett takes all that contact, comes, and Walter is shot ready in the corner. He's just going to make it over Cade. It's perfect. It's perfect. Good decision by RJ Barrett. Good decision by Jacoby Walter. Now here, more RJ defense. Okay. So here's the thing. In this situation, right, where Neemias Queta's got a little bit of a advantage on Jakob Poeltl, you have to be aware of the backside cutter. And RJ Barrett doesn't even know Josh Minot exists on the court. He does not see him at all. He's not rotating right now. Even after the pass has been made, he doesn't see it. Like Neemias Queta absolutely projected this pass a second ago. He's looking at Minot. Barrett does not see it. Sorry, I'm trying to fight a sneeze. I don't want to sneeze on air. This is crazy. And this happens a lot. And again, it's an open dunk at the basket. This is what every offense is designed to not give up this shot. And this shot just keeps getting given up. Okay. So this is what I like to see. Early initiation from Scottie will result in, especially when he's being aggressive, will result in open shots like this. Now, I'll guarantee you, if the situation was flipped, no one is making this pass to Scottie other than maybe Ingram, maybe CMB. But most of the players on this team do not make the pass that Scottie is about to make. But Scottie is going to make it, and RJ Barrett is going to benefit tremendously. Look at this. So here, look at how much of the defense is sucked into Scottie Barnes. Minot is picking him up way too high. And this is the threat of the pull-up, right? Now, I don't know why you're playing him this high. Maybe you think you can force a turnover with some pressure defense, but Minot is just way too high. Boucher and, Derek White are way too concerned. And RJ Barrett is beating another pylon defender, by the way. So RJ Barrett is going to get the other side of the RJ Barrett experience. So the other side, Josh Minot scores backdoor because RJ Barrett's a terrible defender. I'll tell you who's a worse defender than RJ Barrett. There's one guy in this building right now that is a worse defender than RJ Barrett. And that is the guy who's about to let him cut backdoor, and that's Anthony Simons. Anthony Simons is a piss poor defender. The worst defender in the NBA, not named Trae Young. I kid you not. He is terrible. And beautiful. This is a tough pass to make. But this is the advantage of being a big playmaker. And RJ Barrett will make that bucket. Good stuff. So I said, this is how the Raptors want to play. This is how they want to play. Okay. But there's a problem with that. Jordan Walsh is going to miss this three. Scottie Barnes is going to get a rebound that he did not box out for, by the way, just kind of waltzed into his hands here. And Scottie has been doing this all preseason where he is the quickest one to get rid of the ball, right? And this is his goal. Like, this is to spark the offense. He sees advantage. The Raptors are saying run, run, run. I would like to see him hold the ball a little bit more and maybe push it himself, but he's been more or less willing to do the Kevin Love thing, which is just get rid of whoever has the advantage. And here, as you can see, court process this. Who's the right player to pass to here? Immanuel Quickley. So he passes to Immanuel Quickley. Now, what should Quickley do here? And this is the problem. You need to go further into the paint, get the actual 2-on-1, not let Neemias Queta recover into this play. So the best way to do this would be to cut Queta off, but you don't do that. You allow Neemias Queta to get back into this play. And this is the problem. This is why the Raptors cannot score in transition. Again, watch that play. Instinctually, a good basketball player knows right now we have a major advantage of 2-on-1. There's a few decisions you can make here. One, you can trust Ochai Agbaji with a lead pass past Hugo Gonzalez and just trust that he's going to catch it. It's risky. It's risky, right? Nick Bullard saying, draw arrows first, non-hoopers. Well, Immanuel Quickley is the guy on the screen with the basketball. Ochai Agbaji is the guy running up ahead without the basketball. I don't think that so here, as I'm saying, Hugo Gonzalez is splitting the difference between these two defenders. Hugo Gonzalez is obviously cheating off of Quickley and playing the pass. If you're Quickley, turn on the Jets and score. You need to look to score. Everybody is looking to pass on this team, and they're completely fucking up. Okay? Here, like, you slow down. Why did you slow down? What purpose is there to slow down? This is a completely ridiculous play. Like, you don't need to slow down here. Unless you're pulling up, there's no reason to slow down. You've just allowed the defense to get back into it. And your greatest gift as a player is your pull-up jump shooting and your speed. And so you slow down and don't take the pull-up jump shot. Immanuel Quickley needs to look at himself in the mirror and just say, what can I do to help this team? And honestly, he killed this team tonight. He and Scottie and RJ absolutely destroyed this team tonight. Like, absolutely 100%. I think Scottie had good moments. I think RJ had good moments. Quickley had very few good moments. It was bad. Just really bad. Okay. Now, do you remember that earlier play with RJ Barrett? Let me bring it back here. Okay. Watch this play again. Now, watch Scottie gesture to RJ Barrett. This is going to be a good example. He's telling him to leave. He's telling him to clear the side of the court. This is exactly what this gesture has meant in every level of basketball ever. He's telling him, I have an advantage. I'm going to take Neemias Queta off the dribble. 9 seconds on the clock. All of this is communicated with RJ to clear out. Okay. Now, RJ doesn't clear out. And as we remember, what does it result in? It results in this bullshit. We remember that? Okay. So that's basically a turnover. So now I want to show you why the same play now with Ochai Agbaji, okay, is going to work. And this is the same situation. There's very little that's different about the situation. But watch how this materializes. Here, Scottie is going to beat Minot in the backcourt. He's going to come up. And here, once again, Pritchard is the same guy, okay? And Ochai Agbaji is in the corner. Now, watch Barnes. Did you see that? Let me slow this down so you can see it again. He asks Ochai to clear. That little wave gesture with his left hand, that's a signal to Ochai Agbaji, clear out. Now, why does he do this? Now, this is when I say if you're a great player, if you're a great basketball player, if you're somebody who sees the game well, you have to see the play ahead. Ochai Agbaji does not see the play ahead. He doesn't need to, though, because he's not the decision maker of this offense. Scottie Barnes sees 2 plays ahead. And the idiots in the chat, like this dude right here, this guy right here, y'all don't see this either. So you'll never understand the value of making the right play or seeing a play ahead. You don't see a play ahead. You don't even see the play. But here's the play ahead. The play ahead is to draw the double team and find the corner shooter. Okay. So here, I'm going to have Scottie and force the defense to make a decision. Here comes the defense. Look at how quickly this ball is going to leave his hands when this help comes. Boom. There goes. And now look at Ochai, kind of straddling the sidelines, straddle. And what is he going to do? He's going to get to the right place. Boom. And look at Ingram. Look at Ingram cut to keep Peyton Pritchard honest. And what does he do? He opens up. And honestly, the only thing wrong with this play is that quickly makes it too late. So Ochai isn't as open as he could have been. But look at Ingram's basketball IQ. To cut here, to know that if Ochai is coming to the corner, just look, honestly, if you're someone who doesn't understand basketball, this is a good play to diagram what basketball really comes down to. The minute you take the double team, you actually have a soft triple team here because Peyton Pritchard is a low man kind of trying to protect here. They're over helping on Scottie. Scottie doesn't need to dance with the basketball here, force a tough shot. Here, he just makes a quick pass to Mamukelashvili. Mamukelashvili doesn't need to drive because the defense is not set up for him to drive. The defense right now is predicating that you find the corner shooter. And look at how quickly Ingram is able to read, go cut to the basket when Ochai Agbaji starts creeping into that corner. The defense has lost sight of Ochai, and here Peyton Pritchard is the last line of defense, and here he is splitting the difference between 2 guys. And look at how long quickly it takes to make this pass. Could have made it so much sooner. And Ochai Agbaji gets a wide open 3. I mean, it's still wide open. I'm just quibbling that it could have been more wide open if Quickly makes that decision a little bit quicker. This is how this offense, this 0.5 offense, needs to work, okay? And it needs to work with good decision makers being asked to make decisions, okay? Now here, I love this play, Sandro Mamukelashvili and Brandon Ingram. Again, 2 of your smarter basketball players. There are some smart players on this team. There are some kind of dummies on this team. And there's a couple dummies on this team that frankly just don't read situations well. And these 2 are not 2 of them. Brandon Ingram and Mamukelashvili really understand how to play basketball. And you're going to see it right here. Okay. Now, boom. Jordan Walsh cannot guard Brandon Ingram ever. Watch the screen that Mamukelashvili reading this entire play, knowing Ingram is going to the basket, knowing Minot is a 6'8" defender who could potentially stop this drive. He is going to set the screen on Minot to clear the way for Ingram. So when Minot decides to move, he's going to realize there's actually someone there. Back screen. Perfect. Another Scottie Barnes block on a 7-foot center. Nice. That's great. Okay. Whew. It's defense. I decided to focus a lot of, this film session on defense. I hope this has been valuable for you. If this is valuable for you, please hit the like button. If this is not valuable for you, well, then please let me know in the comment section what I could do to make it more valuable for you. Someone said add arrows and stuff like that. We're not there yet, man, but maybe someday we'll be able to, draw it on an iPad and diagram the whole thing out. That would be really dope. Actually, I'm looking forward to, finding the technology to do that shit where I can just write it on my screen and it'll show up. That'd be cool, man. I'm pretty sure that technology definitely exists somewhere, but please do hit like on the video. It will help get this video out to more people, right? Miri said, yeah, because if we could focus on offense, it would be all Scottie lowlights. How many offensive possessions have I shown you so far? How many? Go count them. Y'all think you're slick. Are you Raptor fans? If you're Raptor fans, you should be really rooting for the best asset on your team to actually be a really good player. and you probably shouldn't be trying to slam him for having a tough shooting preseason. But you're not Raptor fans. You're sad people. You're sad people. Miri said, you just said the stream's focus on defense. Right. But you said that that I'm not focusing on offense at all. So that's the implication, right? So that's what I'm asking you. How many offensive plays have I shown? I think I've shown quite a bit. It's not all defense. In fact, I would say that I've probably shown more offensive clips than defensive clips, but I just really wanted to focus on defense in my film analysis. Boom. Okay, here, getting screened is not a crime, but you must recover. You cannot be this sorry in recovering. And this is very sorry. Now, quickly does the right thing, which is to get up on the hot shooter here. Garrett needs to register this right away and sprint to the corner because help the helper, right? Antoine Rose saying, all you do is slander RJ and get mad at people for being upset about Scottie. I don't think that's actually true, but I think what happens is you watch RJ score 20 points and think he's something that he's not because you don't understand basketball. And I think that it's very, very important to realize that the Raptors offered RJ Barrett for Brandon Ingram, and the Pelicans said, no, we'll take Bruce Brown. I think you need to reconcile those two things in your head. I think you need to dig deep in your silly little brain and really get into the nitty gritty of why do people not value RJ Barrett? Why did the Knicks dump him? Why are the Raptors trying to trade him? Why do the Raptors not want to pay him? I think you need to get your head around this. I'm not slandering the man for saying that he is absolutely killing your defense. That's not slander. That ain't slander. Okay. I made 2 videos this offseason about how he is very important to this offense and why I'm not a lock to trade him. That's not slander. Me disagreeing with your dumbass does not make it slander. Please understand that. It's not slander. It's not slanderous for me to disagree and for you to disagree. What becomes idiotic is for you to come in the chat and be like, oh, you're slandering my favorite player. How many times in this game have I said Scottie had a bad game? You don't want to hear it. You fucking dumbass don't want to hear it. You don't want to hear it. How many times in his first game did I say he had a bad game? I think I started this live out by saying, whoosh, he had a tough game. This is a bad game. But I don't think Scottie's missing closeouts. Scottie's not missing box outs. Like, what are we doing here? Jeez, you don't want the truth, man. You want to remain where you are. You know what? Members chat only. We might get there one day, man. This shit is obnoxious. Obnoxious. Calm down, Pen. No, you calm down. You calm down. You got a fan base that is ripping this dude to shreds. Do y'all realize? Like, nah, fuck it. Nuts. Okay. Go defend this, Antoine Rose. Hi, Chris Boucher. Why are you jogging to the corner? It's so obvious. You played with Chris Boucher for 2 years. You know he's not passing up this shot. That's a shot. You got to sprint to the corner. I'm sorry. If the Raptors are trying to implement their defense, and RJ Barrett is telling us in preseason, like, you know what people like y'all do? Y'all radicalize people. Like, I want to be so fair about Scottie, RJ, IQ, BI. I said it right away. I don't think BI took the best shots, but he was absolutely the best thing for the Raptors offense. But y'all want to radicalize everybody into like being hateful like you. So you want to hate Scottie. So you see hate in other people's criticism of RJ, IQ, etc. Right? You don't manage my emotions, Jay. I'm good. I'm going to be me. You be you. I got this far being exactly who I am. I'm going to remain exactly who I am. I'll be who I am when I have 0 subscribers, 20,000 subscribers, 80,000 subscribers. If I make it to ESPN, if I make it to Fox Sports, if I never make it to Fox Sports, if I get on Player's Choice, if I get fired from Player's Choice, I'm going to be me. And being me means telling the truth. And telling the truth is, it's pretty ridiculous to suggest, after watching what you've watched in the preseason, that Scottie Barnes is having a great preseason. It's also pretty ridiculous to suggest that this defense is not suffocated by absolutely boneheaded plays like this. Like, we need to be real about this, okay? Brandon Ingram is not a great defender. Emmanuel Quickley is not a great defender. You have 3 non-great defenders. And by the way, Jakob Poeltl is not Rudy Gobert. You don't have enough defense in your starting lineup, and your bench is all defense. There is an obvious solution to this. Either trade RJ for a defensive upgrade because he is a absolutely piss poor defender. Last year, I couldn't stop glazing that. I was like, oh my God, I think RJ should be point guard. I think he's so great at, he's a better playmaker than Quickly, which I still stand on, by the way. I think RJ is a better playmaker than Quickly. I also gave him a ton of credit for his defensive effort last year. I thought he was much better towards the second half of the season. He participated in the fact that the Raptors had a huge defensive turnaround, but you cannot be so radical so as to say that this guy's shit don't stink. Okay. You getting banned, bro. One more of this shit, and you just getting straight up blocked. You will never be back here again. You want to have this sort of negative attitude, like you just toxic. You toxic. You understand that? When did I say that? When did I say RJ Barrett and AJ Lawson? You're just lying. Now you're just lying. Yeah, you gone. Fuck yourself. There is a wonderful podcast that agrees with everything you think out there. You have been banned, Miri. Go to hell. You will find a lot of consensus for your thoughts at Hello and Welcome. They think how you think. Jack Armstrong also thinks how you think, by the way. Nothing bad that RJ Barrett has ever done on the court has been met with great criticism by Jack Armstrong. However, if Scottie Barnes doesn't finish strong through contact, Scottie Barnes got to finish strong through contact. At some point, you're going to have to understand that I am trying to balance out a very negative media space. You think I wasn't disappointed with Scottie's performance today? Yes, I was disappointed with Scottie's performance today. You don't think I was disappointed with Scottie's performance in the opening game? Yeah, I was. But I'm also seeing trade him. He's a bum. He doesn't work hard. So I got to balance it out. And you know what? If I hear RJ Barrett, franchise player, I'm balancing that out. I will always try to be the voice of balance and truth in this space. And you are not hearing me say Scottie's playing like a superstar right now. Objectively stating that Scottie's play in the preseason is quite concerning. Okay, so here's the thing, Lakes Bigs. Please find the place where somebody said Scottie's play is concerning and I went off the handle. Please go ahead. I don't like this communication style. It's a very weird thing. Let me give you an example. You say, you's a bitch. I say, what the hell is your problem? You say, someone criticizing your game shouldn't cause this type of reaction. Like, that's not what you did. That's just gaslighting. Okay? So, no. I'm not defensive of criticism. I'm defensive of hate, and I don't need it in this chat. Honestly, this game is depressing as hell. This game is depressing as hell. You play out your starters, and their starter does not look good. So, you know what? For a lot of people who are very optimistic about this team, this game probably was not what you were looking for. Okay, in terms of let me go to sleep at night feeling good about my Raptors. The last thing we need is y'all coming in here overreacting with your ignorant ass takes. You don't understand basketball. So why are you even here? Start your own channel, bro. Start your own channel. Diagram plays. Let people know. Tell people why I'm hating on RJ. Why don't you make a fucking YouTube channel and react to this video and tell me why every single play that I'm pointing to as a negative play isn't a negative play? Be like, nah, man, RJ Barrett was perfectly right to jog to the corner here. Go ahead. Let them know. I don't know. I think it's bad. It's bad, yo. And here, okay. This one, I nearly threw my remote at the television. This, Lord help me. I almost turned the game off on this one. This pissed me off like you wouldn't believe. Okay. The defense has dropped, okay, which is crazy to me. Like, Derek White is not respecting Immanuel Quickley as a shooter here because Immanuel Quickley is not respecting himself as a shooter here. You need to take this shot. I don't give a shit what you're doing. You're literally being paid $32.5 million to hit this shot. And in the last game, Immanuel Quickley was hitting this shot. And I don't understand why in this game, he decides every single time he gets the ball, I'm going to pass to RJ Barrett. I'm going to pass to RJ Barrett. Stop passing to RJ, bro. You need to be a threat to score. You're not shooting. I understand. You know, you're having a cold shooting night. Maybe you don't trust your shot. But if you don't trust your shot, you don't need to play because you're not doing enough defensively to warrant me keeping Jamal Shed and Chucky Hepburn on the court if you're going to do this shit. And here, you need to process the court. Look at the fucking defense, Immanuel Quickley. What are you doing here? you're setting RJ Barrett up to fail because you're giving him the shot. He's not as good a three-point shooter as you, so he's not going to have a better shot at this than you. And then second, you see, if you could see, that there's two defenders now. Once again, in transition, Emmanuel quickly shits the bed. Again. Why? Take the shot, man. Take the shot. All I want Emmanuel quickly to do is take every single shot he sees. I know that sounds really counterintuitive and really stupid, but it's true. You've got to be a threat to score. You cannot bail the defense out like this. And if anyone doesn't know what happened on this play, I tell you right now, the second he looked at RJ Barrett, I saw this entire play flash through my eyes, and I'm like, the Raptors did this 100 times last season. Why does he not learn from this? RJ Barrett is not Michael Jordan. He's not finishing over two defenders, and boom, Chris Boucher gets a block because he knows where RJ is going. Everyone knows where RJ is going, and he's going to his right side. You're not even setting him up on the dominant hand. It's the right side. Like, it's just, Raptors champs. Pen, off season, you said you wanted to work on your responses and being more intentional. So we are not telling anything wrong. Well, here's the thing. I am going to be myself. And you know what? If tomorrow I look back on this response and I think Miri was unfairly banned, we'll definitely issue an apology. I don't think I'm going to apologize, though, because the way Raptor fans been riding Scottie, the way that he been, just ripped apart for this, the way y'all talk about him is disgusting. Disgusting. There ain't nobody. J Ship said, why is Pensare such a bad YouTuber? I don't know, bro. I don't know. And neither will you now. Peace out. Okay. So here we go. The RJ Barrett defensive masterclass continues here. Just why? Where are you? What are you doing? He just gives up. Just kind of in the middle of the floor, like maybe no one will notice. And here, Hugo Gonzalez comes up to the corner, meets him. Just watch RJ in this entire play. Okay. Now, I talk about court mapping a lot. Court mapping is very important. Understanding how the defense and the offense is bending is very crucial. And here, Ingram is going to trail his guy, Josh Minot here. I would prefer him have the hands up a little bit higher, but whatever, defer the pass. He's not a superstar. Ingram continues to try and be, in the right place. But here, Ingram loses the corner guy because he just ignores Josh Minot in the corner. He doesn't think he can shoot well. And he's going to prefer to get into rebounding position here as Derek White takes this shot, which is a perfectly fine decision in my opinion. But here, RJ Barrett has a center on him. And he's not fighting for position at all. What? And here comes Josh Minot for more easy baskets. How many times did that happen tonight? Lennox leader, little tyrant Pensare. Aw. See, here's the thing. Alive is a community. This community is a community. As a person who is in charge of running this community, I have an obligation to try and keep things reasonable. Happy to have someone call in and have a debate about the merits of Scottie Barnes or RJ Barrett or anybody. I really am. I'm happy to say, if somebody wants to send a super chat or something and say Scottie Barnes needs to stop settling for, fadeaways. He looks like he's avoiding contact. I'm really worried about his threes. I don't think that comment is going to get anything from me. It's when you guys start veering into he's a bum and stuff that I'm just like, you know what? You're not welcome in my living room. You understand what I mean? Like, you aren't allowed this. You grew up in the snowflake entitled generation in which you think you're allowed to just abuse people in public and there will be no consequences. I consider the Banhammer block feature on social to be very productive, right? It's very productive. There ain't no way you're going to talk all this mess to someone to their face, right? You wouldn't. I think the Joe Mazzulla, having that practice with the Celtics coaches versus the media was a major, major funny move. They beat them 57-4, if I believe. Brian needs to be held accountable. He's a bad trainer. What do you know about training NBA players? See, this is what I mean. What do you know about training NBA players? He turned your zero level scorer into an all-star by 22, but he's a bad trainer. Who the fuck are you? Who are you? Like, what do you do with your life? Are you good at what you do? Are you training professionals? Like, the fuck do you know? Scottie is going through tendonitis right now. There could be some extension issues. He's getting clean open shots. He's playing really good defense. He's boxing out. He's fine. The shot making isn't great and he's avoiding contact. That's the only thing I can say about his game that's been bad. I don't know. I don't get it. But this community will remain untoxic. There are plenty, by the way, Facebook, Reddit, Twitter, Samson's entire timeline right now, S's entire timeline right now, hello and welcome, Raptors Digest. There are literally 1,000 places you can go to hate Scottie on the internet right now. Okay. And I promise you that I won't go too much when he becomes an all-star this season and y'all look like morons. But please keep that shit out of my timeline. Okay. If you want to talk about real productive conversations about things he can get better at, I'm for it. I've made many videos about things he can get better at. Y'all don't watch those videos because it doesn't fit your stupid agenda. Okay. So that's the thing. This community obviously is, in my opinion, for people who support the Toronto Raptors. This community rode with this team. Do y'all know something? Let me tell you something, you dumbasses. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something about the Pensare basketball community. When the Raptors win, we are not the most watched post-game show. But when the Raptors lose, we are almost always the most watched post-game show. When the Raptors tore it down last season and were playing G League lineups at the end, we still had people who were watching these games, whether Scottie played or whether Scottie didn't play. What that tells me is our team like our community gives a fuck about this team on a deeper level. And I cannot understand a single Raptor fan who can care about the Raptors and not care about their highest paid and best player. That to me is banana sandwich. You're not Raptor fans. You're haters. You're miserable, sad, disgusting, low lives who accomplish nothing in your miserable ass lives. And you need somebody to tear down because it makes you feel a little bit better about what you didn't accomplish today. That's the truth. That's the reality. Accept it. It'll fucking set you free. But you know what? Reddit is for you, my bro. Y'all take over the internet. Hello and welcome. Go talk about it. I promise you they're criticizing Scottie right now as we speak. If they're doing a post-game show, I guarantee they're criticizing. And power to them. I'm not going at them for it. You are an analyst. Analyze what you got. I didn't say anything about Samson Folk, saying what he said about Scottie not caring about preseason, although I've trolled it a couple of times. He's perfectly fine that's his analysis today. He made a post that we can look at a little bit later, which, caught my attention. I'm like, you know what? Like, whatever, man. You're an analyst. You're allowed to arrive at a different conclusion than I am. I think Franz Wagner is a better player than Paolo Banchero. That's the truth. I think Evan Mobley is going to be a better player this year than Cade Cunningham. I think that's true. This is my analysis. Shit. So Michael Jordan by a country mile. Rob, don't say that. It's going to make the trolls run to their "we were just trolling" excuse. Well, trolls belong by the river under the bridge, not in my comment section. So I agree. The Rook 2007, I agree. I thought he was very good. I think you need him. I'm going to say it right now. I think you need him in the starting lineup. You need someone who does what he does, whether that be him or Jakobi or CMB at some point. You need someone like that who can just play their role, get out of the way, not demand too much usage, and let Ingram and Scottie do what they're going to do. Look, be patient, Raptor fans. I promise you, this team is run by pretty smart people who understand basketball. Nothing that I'm showing you in these clips, nothing that I'm arriving to is a conclusion that Bobby Webster and Darko Rajakovic are not seeing. They're not oblivious to this. Okay. Everything we've heard about them all offseason, trying to trade RJ, trying to trade, blah, 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 blah. They know what they need to put around these two guys. I think you have two guys who can really flourish, honestly. And I think if RJ bought into that role and he was a better defender, and I mean, he's hitting his catch and shoots in preseason, so that's a good thing. If he could buy into the role of just being not atrocious defensively, right? If he can buy into the role of cutting without the basketball, if he can be not too ball dominant, not take too long to make decisions, play point 0.5 basketball, set good screens, make good cuts, again, rebound the basketball, push it in transition, get off the ball easy. These are things just, it's unnatural for him to do these things. Ochai Agbaji is better at the role that they're asking RJ Barrett to play. And I understand that there are RJ Barrett fans out there who are like, well, why shouldn't Scottie do that stuff? Like, why shouldn't Scottie? And it's just, it comes down to talent level, man. It comes down to talent level. Scottie Barnes, the upside of him is an all-star. He is an all-star, all-NBA type of player. I mean, offensively, defensively, the angles that he can unlock as a passer, you have a great deal of value to put the ball in his hands. And Brandon Ingram, same thing, right? You have a lot of value in putting a ball in Ingram's hands because he's a threat as a pull-up jump shooter. He has huge advantages as a passer, at that height. And you just can't take the ball out of these two guys' hands consistently to give Quickly and Barrett touches. It doesn't make sense. It's just bad. Okay. Okay. So again, just really didn't like this play at all. My mistake. Pull this off. Pull this back up. So this was the last play that we broke down. Didn't like this play at all. And again, Quickly's got to understand the box out assignments, Ingram. And it's just like, this is the worst situation for the Raptors because you have three players who don't necessarily read these situations really well. And this is a situation where it might have helped to have a CMB, type of guy on the court. And I think the Raptors really missed CMB and Grady Dick tonight. They needed them. All right. Here. So this is a play that was posted by Esfandiar Barhani. To take a look at this. Haven't looked at this yet. So just mute it real fast. So here, RJ Barrett is going to dribble up the court. Good defender on him. So a lot of dribbling for 0.5, but I understand it. And here comes Jakob Poeltl, gets off the balls, goes across, tries to set a screen on Boucher. And here, Boucher and Neemias Queta absolutely miscommunicate this, playing Ingram for the drive. You see Quickly cutting to the basket for if Ingram were to get trapped, Quickly doing the intelligent thing of cutting to the basket. Scottie is pointing to Quickly, actually. But yeah, Ingram just decides, you know what, screw it. If you're going to back off of me, pop. But here, it's good to know that the Raptors had options because if they overplay, right? Look at Scottie right here. He's already pointing to Ingram that Quickly is starting his cut. That is the court mapping that I'm talking about here. And if Queta and Pritchard are able to close the distance on this jump shot, it is a wide open cut for Emmanuel Quickly cutting backdoors. That's a good thing. Okay. Chucky Hepburn. I said Chucky Hepburn is making this team. No questions asked. Chucky Hepburn for the second game in a row. This one's good steal by Jamal Shed. Initially, that third string kind of got played off the court when they came on, but eventually they did catch their stride, and it started with this play right here. Boom. Good stuff. Okay. And this is another play posted by Esfandiar Barhani. Okay. And here, Scottie Barnes. Perfect. So this is why he was calling for this for a good 4 seconds before Quickly found him, and he posts up early. Now he's going to have disadvantage against guards. Now, for whatever reason, teams are going to continue to double team, triple team him on post ups. And in this situation, here comes the double. Scottie protects the basketball. Boom. And RJ needs to just find Ingram here. Boom. Good job, RJ. And this time, Boucher, who we know loves to block them shots and loves to get himself out of position. Boucher misplays the shit out of this, and it's going to result in Ingram. So let's change this play up and let's see how can it be better. Like what could be better? Well, first, get the ball to Scottie quicker. Second, Scottie needs to actually attack. He's kind of just like swerving a little bit. I think you need to go sooner. Maybe turn the baseline on him, find Yak for an easy basket at the rim. I also think right here, in theory, there's an easy pass to the corner for Ingram. If Scottie can see it, Boucher would never recover to it. So I don't love this process from Scottie at all. In fact, I think he makes about the worst decision possible there. I think he just kind of gets trapped, resets it. No, the worst decision possible would be to force, an awkward shot or, turn the ball over. But the second worst decision was to reset to Quickly. I don't think Quickly had a good thing. And here, they're just completely ignoring Ingram like he doesn't exist. And nobody is thinking about the skip pass to Ingram. And I don't understand why. Like you have your best shooter or second best shooter wide open, not a defender within 25 feet of him. And it takes RJ Barrett. Like, I don't know. Just didn't love that. I didn't like how open Ingram was on that play. And just, yeah. Anyways, and to almost win the game, here comes Jamison Battle. The Raptors down by 3 with 10 seconds apparently to go. And boom, quick hit. Hey, if Darko Rajakovic hasn't shown you so far that he can coach, unfortunately, the tie game was spoiled by Xavier Tillman getting a 2 at the basket. Okay. So this is actually an interesting comment, and I want to explore something that Samson posted, which is very cool. So this is the high value assists per 75 possessions versus assists per 75 possessions in terms of low value assists per 75 possessions. And the lowest value assists per game, Domantas Sabonis, James Harden, Emmanuel Quickley, Alfred Payton, Tyrese Halliburton, Isaiah Collier, Scottie Pippen Jr., Davion Mitchell, Tyus Jones, Marcus Sasser, Jalen Pickett, Josh Giddey, Cameron Payne, Luke Kennard, Keontae George, Desmond Bane. All assists are not created equal, and this is the point. So high value assists per 75 possessions quickly is 6.03. And in terms of assists, so that's the low value assists. What are low value assists? What are high value assists? High value assists typically are the ones where you generate the opening and are simply able to create an opening for your teammate, right? So you manipulate the defense, you get them a wide open dunk to the rim, something like that. Hypothetically, you drive, collapse the defense, kick it out for a 3. Low value assists, at least, per my understanding, are defined as within the offense assists, where it's just like you just throw the ball, and it's just like an extension of a passing circuit. And, it just happens to find a guy and he just happens to take a shot, or he takes 2 dribbles and makes a shot, where it's just like your pass was inconsequential to him actually scoring. There was no passing talent required for you to register that assist. And that's what it is. So Quickly's assist to turnover ratio is often cited, including by me at times, as a valid reason to be patient with him as a playmaker. But yeah, I don't. That's most Scottie's assists. That's not true at all. Scottie did not rank anywhere close in the low value assists. In fact, he is the best high value assist guy on this team. Yeah. Okay. So we have a comment here. J Powell. Scottie's my favorite player. Wemby was training with KG and Hakeem this offseason. Correct me if I'm wrong. Never heard of Scottie training with any Hall of Famer. Why? Well, okay. So you don't have to train with Hall of Famers to learn Hall of Fame techniques. Like you just don't. Scottie has trained with a ton of people, and it's not just Brian. He has athletic trainers. He's had workouts with dudes in Spain. He's had a ton of people pour into him throughout his life. It's not just Brian. Brian's just the main guy. So, would you feel better if Scotty Barnes was training with Kevin Durant? Sure, but now he's training with Brandon Ingram, so that's helpful, right? Would you feel better if he was training with Paul Pierce? I mean, it might win the headlines. It might win the headlines. I don't need Scotty Barnes, you know, necessarily training with Hakeem Olajuwon, but I wouldn't be mad at it. Dwight Howard trained with Hakeem Olajuwon. Did it help him? Not really. Wemby is interesting. Like I wish Scotty was as grown up as Wemby was at the same age. Like Wemby at 17, 18, when I heard him, sounded like a 50-year-old. You know what I mean? So it makes perfect sense to me that he's out there training with monks, playing chess in the rain. Like Wemby is a guy after my own mind, in terms of that stuff. Like, so I get that. Scotty's a different dude, but Scotty works really hard. Scotty has, many training influences. So I understand why you would probably feel better if he went and trained with KG and Hakeem. And you know what? If Scotty ever wants to train with KG, KG is a huge Scotty Barnes fan, and I'm happy that he would. I'm sure he would train with him in a heartbeat. And here's the thing. I think when Scotty plays with intensity, when Scotty plays mad, he's a really good player. When Scotty plays, kind of passive, laissez-faire basketball where he's kind of dragging his feet and he's not very energetic and he's not very motivated, it's just very bad. So what I like about him so far in preseason is that laissez-faire stuff. Maybe occasionally on offense, you're seeing it and when he's not driving enough or whatever. But we saw this a lot during his second year as well. And, I got to tell you, like in his second year, I actually want to show y'all something. So I posted something last night. I was thinking about this. So, couple of little bit of value for the people who are Scotty haters and have confirmed themselves to be Scotty haters. So Scotty has grown like clockwork each year. So here's his per 100 stats I've defined objectively for you below. So scoring. So here's the scoring numbers per 100 possessions year over year: 21.7, 21.8, 27.5, 28.2. So it has gotten up. Assists, so passing 4.9, 6.8, 8.4, 8.5. So that's gone up. Free throw attempts, so to the he don't attack the rim as much crowd. 4.1, 4.5, 5.8, 6.8. Usage 19, 20.3, 24.8, and 27% last year. 27% is decent usage. It's not quite 29% star usage, but it's very high, very high. There were some smart people that I talked to around draft time 2021 that said there's no chance in hell he ever clips 25% usage. He did it last season. Steals, 1.5, 1.5, 1.7, 2.1. Fouls, so he's cut his fouls down. So while becoming a better defender, he's cut his fouls down from 3.7 to 3.1 to 2.7 to 2.5. Blocks last year was the only regress year: 2.1, 2.2, 3.7, and then 2.8. And then defensive rebounding percentage, there was a slight dip in his second season, but 5.8% defensive rebounding percentage, 15.8, 15.2, 18.7, 18.9, and 20.2. So, you know, worth thinking about. And then I wrote this, and I write this for, the Scotty haters among you. The day is December 23rd, 2023. The Raptors lose a close game in Boston, 118-120, as Toronto falls to 12-19 on the season. I'll let you know. OG is soft quitting at this point. Pascal Siakam is not playing that well, and he is slowly trying to inch his way out of Toronto as the writing is on the wall that he's not getting the ascension. And in that game, Barnes put up 30 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, and hit 7 for 15 from 3. Yes, against a healthy Celtics team with Al Horford, with Jaylen Brown, with Jason Tatum in the play-in tournament. Okay? It's not play-in tournament, in-season tournament. So Barnes was indeed lighting up the league. He exited the game with averages of 24 points, 10 rebounds, 6.4 assists, 3 stocks, shooting 41.5% from 3 and 61.3% from 2 for the month. That's his whole month. Okay? So here's the question for people like you, right? He's playing 2K instead of being live. Like, what is wrong with you mentally? You talk about him like he's Nemanja Keita. You talk about him like he's Bruno Caboclo. You're not. Like, what are you doing? Like, so he had a triple single in a preseason game. Last year, I told y'all, against the Denver Nuggets in the regular season, 21, 12, and 9 with 5 steals. This year in the preseason against the Denver Nuggets, 1 point. Y'all are mad. Y'all mad. I'm so mad, right? Last season or 2 seasons ago, 30, 10, 5, 7 threes made against this Boston team in a high stakes, in-season tournament game. But now he has a triple single, or well, not triple single because he had 10 rebounds, but he scores single digits against the Celtics in preseason, and y'all are mad. It's just weird. It's just weird. Anyways, no, those weren't a single game. He put those numbers up for an entire December. It was a historic month because no player in NBA history has ever hit all of those benchmarks for an entire month, ever. The next day, things fell apart. OG got traded. Toronto lost their then lost to the then league-wide embarrassment Detroit Pistons, thus ending their historic streak, and Scottie Barnes was never the same again. There's 6 ways to look at this. 1, he was on a hot streak, and those numbers through his first 33 games that season are a fluke. Those numbers, by the way, were pretty much 40% three-point shooting on high volume. Number 2, he was deeply motivated to win because there was some indication that winning games might save Siakam and OG from being traded away. And when the Raptors told him they were no longer interested in winning, he turned his focus towards expanding on his weaknesses as opposed to harnessing his pre-existing strengths. 3, trading OG placed a greater defensive burden on him as the team's best defender, and it has impacted his offense. Number 4, playing with Quickly and RJ has been more challenging than playing with more seasoned vets like OG, Pascal, and Dennis. Number 5, the league caught on to him and he didn't have any counters, which I don't agree with. And number 6, he just got worse and stopped working hard. So, the Toronto media is probably in the camp of 1 and 6. I'm more in 2, 3, 4. Okay. That's where I'm at. I'm at 2, 3, 4. That's how I feel. Okay. So to put this into context, what I do know is that last time this guy was on a team that was trying to win basketball games, he was putting up borderline MVP numbers and was insanely efficient. What I also know is that Darko is a phenomenal development coach, and Barnes is the most naturally and physically gifted player he's ever worked with. So there's some reasonable expectation that the 2 years they've spent together, especially the years between 22 and 24, where many players take quantum leaps in development, should bear some fruits. My hypothesis is that Barnes is roughly 35 to 40% better today than he was in 2023. He's smarter, he's a better ball handler, he's a better shot creator, passer, and defender. The vision is simple. Put Scottie in a winning context and he'll deliver superstar impact. Put him in a losing context and perhaps he'll be a little bit dialed out. But that's human nature. If all you care about is winning, then judging you in situations where winning isn't being judged will never provide an accurate view into your game. No one has ever put Steph Curry at center and said he was a bad player. No one has ever put a grade 7 genius in a grade 4 classroom and wondered why he seemed disinterested. Scottie Barnes is going to be awesome this year. I don't care if that results in 24 points per game or 17 points per game. It'll show in the win column and the analytics. If you really want the best of Scottie, all you got to do is tell the guy to win. Spreadsheet FC doesn't get it. They think it's a conspiratorial coping. And that's the point, right? So, yeah, like log racing fans, you're all crashing out so hard. Chill. Like, do y'all enjoy this? Like, is it fun to overreact to things like preseason? Like, I'm not sitting here. Like, when have you heard me say, "Oh my God, Emmanuel quickly can't shoot anymore"? You shot 1 for 8. It's okay. Do you hear me saying, "Oh my God, Jakob Poeltl fell off a cliff. He's regressed so much"? No, that's not going to happen. There needs to be at least some measure. Okay. You need to be measured to some extent. You cannot always be crashing out all the time, right? You cannot be like so reactionary that 10 games changes your entire mind on what a player has done in their entire career. I think Scotty's going to be fine this year. I think, clearly he's going to provide a ton of impact. And I am worried about the starting lineup, but I can't be unbiased to you because you're biased. Nothing I say is ever going to matter to you because I am not going to be able to match your level of bias on the other side. So unless I come out and say exactly what you want me to say, how about that? You know what? Super chat like a big boy. Tell me what you want me to say and just read me a script. Scottie Barnes is a bum. Scottie Barnes is not a top 20 player. Scottie Barnes is not a top 50 player. Like, cool. No, like, see, this is the thing. He's not ass. Like, you just, what's wrong with this world, yo? What's wrong with this country? My God. Daryl, what's going on? We got someone joining us from another country.
Hey, man, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can. How are you doing?
Unfortunately, I'm having some issues with my headphones, so actually I'm going to get off the call and try and sort this out, and then I'll call back because I want the audio to be good.
I hear you fine.
But can you hear an echo? Because, like, the sound is coming through my computer speakers, not through my headphone speakers. I'm worried that the microphone will pick up and there'll be, like, a feedback.
Oh, does anyone hear an echo with Daryl?
Yeah, if no one hears an echo, then I guess I'll just...
Okay. Okay, call back. Yeah, that's fine.
All right.
Ban which guy? Who am I banning? Can one of our members tell me who I'm supposed to ban here? Who has an anti-Semitic picture? Is this an anti-Semitic picture? Sorry, someone's going to have to tell me who to ban. Which is the Jewish profile pic? Is this the guy? Hang on, hold on 1 second. This dude right here? This guy I got to ban? Okay. Someone just please confirm. Yes, it's anti-Semitism. Okay, friend. Well, Round Rock Paranormal. It's been nice knowing you. Don't let the door hit you on your way out. And quite frankly, go fuck yourself. The anti-Semitism can miss me with that bullshit. Blue Jay fan said, does Scottie wire transfer you personally for the propaganda you spew about him, or is it his agent? You may not believe this because you're a absolute Nimrod, but I've actually heard that Scottie does not prefer to hear good things about himself. In fact, it was Brian who came on to our show and said, let's be honest about his bad games. You should be more critical of him. And from that point on, I was even more critical of him than I've been in the past. So yeah, that's a really good sign that Scottie's going to be successful. And your comment is frankly a very, very good sign that you are unemployed. All right. Bad week from Pensare dealing with so many trolls. Scottie playing like a bum and Serbia exposed by Albania. Okay. You banned too. Oh my God, I love this. I love this. Banned. 3 bands? 3 bands? 4 bands. 4 bands in one live stream. We're going for a record. Let's go. Keep it on. You're not getting any more reactions out of me, man. Military Man said Cooper Flag is going to be a top 15 player all time when he's done. Top 15 is oof. All time? That feels tough for me. But I think he'll be a top 15 to top 20 player in the NBA. Like for him to be as good as he is right now at 18, that's very impressive. Very impressive. I mean, it's even more impressive the fact that he's 18 years old, right? Okay, we got Daryl back. Daryl, what's up?
Yo, how about now?
Yeah, it's fine. What's up?
Perfect. Not much, man. It's good to see you again. Good to get the
good
season
to see
going.
you too. Good to see you, man.
I'm here to offer a little bit of a calmness and a balance, a foil to the insanity. I know. Now you got that part. You got that part covered. You're good.
Okay.
You don't need me. You don't need me to don't need me to steal your thunder here. I think that people are worried about Scottie because, like you've been saying, they just don't understand what they're seeing, and they don't look around the league. They look only at the Toronto Raptors, and they don't understand that there are 400 players in the league, and a lot of them are struggling, and a lot of their fan bases are also up in arms about their own players, and a lot of other teams are doing things that if the Raptors were doing, we'd be losing our minds. It's like they have this bubble mentality, and they don't see that Bam Adebayo is playing like a scrub and then getting injured in Miami, and that Miami is 0-5 in the preseason, and they don't understand that they don't understand what kind of circus is going on in Sacramento. they don't understand these things. So, I mean, I just shake my head, but I don't know. What can you do?
Here's my question for you.
Yeah.
How do you think this Raptors fan base would have turned on Scottie Barnes if in 2023 he had been the author of a 27-game losing streak like Cade was in Detroit?
Yeah. Right.
They would have burned his house down. So the patience when it comes to young players is so missing with people. When I tell people that Scottie has averaged more points, the thing that he was supposed to be the worst at, by the way, and the thing that people argue he's still the worst at, scoring points, right? That's the worst part of his game. He doesn't score points. Then how has he scored more points through his first 4 seasons than Giannis, Kawhi, Jimmy Butler, all these guys? How? How did he do it? It's just by divine miracle, right? There is such a distortion. And I think it comes from the fact that the media covers him the way they do. You know, I think
That's
some of the stuff
certainly
that the
part of it,
media
yeah.
has said, like everything I hear about Scottie Barnes is negative from the media. I haven't heard one nice thing about, I haven't heard a single nice thing about him from most of the media. Like Josh Lewenberg, it's always tongue in cheek. When he does something good, it's always like, it's good to see him finally doing this. So it's always an affirmation of the negative comment before, right? I don't know where this came from. I don't know why it exists this way, but it's like Scottie could come out and have 30 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists, right? And instead of being covered like, wow, what a great game by Scottie, it's like, good for him finally showing up in preseason. This negative skewed coverage is something I learned about in grade 6. They told us about liberal and conservative, and they were just like, listen, like the same story presented 2 different ways. And I just don't understand why I'm the one who's getting accused of being tribalistic here. When RJ had good games last year, I called them good games. I didn't code them with, well, he's been playing ass all season, and now he finally had a good game. That wasn't the reluctant praise. I was like, RJ's been a really good passer. RJ's really gotten better at his passing. I love his defensive effort. It's not, I love his defensive effort finally coming around because he was so ass last year. These are backhanded compliments, and I think people need to pay attention when they're hearing backhanded compliments, because people like William Liu, Josh Lewenberg, etc., have paid Scottie compliments when he's played well, but they've always been the form of reluctant compliments.
Yeah, for sure. Unfortunately, Scottie's style of play looks a certain way to people that are used to seeing stars play a different sort of way. And so you asked the question, how did he manage to score more points in his first 4 years than all of those other players? It didn't look the way that it was supposed to. And I think one thing that I keep hearing is that Scottie has an on-off switch. Why can't he play the way he did against the Lakers or against San Antonio that game? Why can't he do that all the time? And he, why does he just flip the on switch for certain games, and then other games he just, switches off? And that bothers me, because everything that I know about Scottie, and granted, I don't know him personally, and I've learned a lot from listening to you, that everything that I know about Scottie is that he does not have an off switch. He has different on switches that are all wildly different from each other. So for example, when he's going to play against LeBron, he flips the Kobe switch. Like he's gonna turn on the switch where he wants to cook LeBron. He wants to go up and he wants to show that he can guard him and he can hang 32 points on him. But when it's another game, the switch that he flipped, the switch that he likes to flip the most, obviously, is getting his teammates going. And that's what he does for the first 3 quarters of every game. He's probing, he's trying to figure out how to get his teammates going. And so then when he realizes that, well, shoot, it's not working, I got to put this on myself. That's when fourth quarter Scottie shows up. He knows that he's capable of it. He's always capable of it. But the switch that he wants to flip is the unselfish, get the whole team going, contribute to however he can to make the team win. And I bet that in his mind, he's thinking, if I'm taking this shot, then that's a shot that this guy's not taking. And this guy has just as good a chance to hit it as I do. I have a chance of making a good play to get this guy a better shot. And there is no arguing with that logic. It is perfect logic. That is exactly what you're supposed to do in basketball. You're supposed to create a mismatch, and then you're supposed to take advantage of that mismatch. You're supposed to create space, and you're supposed to take advantage of that space. And so he's not just thinking of in like a one-track thing, like I create space by driving really hard to the basket, doing a little spin around, and extending my arm and getting a layup. Like some previous Toronto Raptors created space that way by creating a few extra inches, and then they would do that over and over and over and over and over. Scottie's looking at so many different ways of creating space, including drawing a defender, manipulating a defense, or a pull-around jumper from the mid-range, which he did one again today. That was beautiful. It was beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
He couldn't hit a layup, but that spin-around fadeaway on the baseline was beautiful. So I don't know. I get tired of this whole switch off thing. He has no off switch.
I really loved this. He has multiple switches thing. It's a really smart basketball take by you, and I agree with you 100%. We have seen him lock up Giannis. There are these like things. I think of development. You're a teacher. You develop for a living, right? When you're teaching math, right? I wish you weren't blurry. We're having the best conversation ever, and I wish you weren't so blurry right now, but you're very blurry, but that's okay.
Ah, shoot, really?
Yeah, you're very blurry.
Hang on a minute. I just tossed I'm using Wi-Fi hotspot, and I'm in a concrete box. I just literally tossed my phone over towards the window, and hopefully that'll make the internet better.
Let's hope. So when you're teaching, what grade do you teach?
Usually grade 5, mostly.
Right. So when you're teaching a particular subject like math, you teach math?
I don't know.
What do you teach?
English and sometimes science.
Okay, perfect. So how do you structure the curriculum so that it makes sense for the kids? Like, are you bombarding them with 18 different things every single day? Or is it like this week is about this and this week is about this, so that the brain can properly process all this information coming in? And Scottie literally talked about this at his postseason scrum, where he said throughout this year, we saw portions of time where I was attacking the mid-range, portions of times when I was attacking the rim, portions of time when I was higher up in the defense. The common fan does not understand any of this. And I think that it's, okay, so maybe the problem is me, because most people who grasp basketball at a decently high level understand that most people don't. I don't want to give other people the out that you're allowed to not understand basketball. My view on it is, if you don't understand basketball, don't talk to me about basketball. That's where I'm at right now. It might be a snobbish sort of like weird outlook on it, but that's just where I'm at. I don't talk about medical instruments on the internet. I certainly don't go into chat rooms and spend hours and hours dissecting the value of certain, vaccines. I don't know enough about this shit to talk about it, but I think sports is a very weird thing where everyone feels like they're equivalently entitled to discuss it at the absolute apex level. And my issue comes to when you start thinking that you at home, with very little research and very little prep and very little playing experience, very little knowledge, have so much experience that you can doubt Darko. Like, I'm not saying Darko's perfect. Darko makes mistakes, but you have to be so fucking smart to spot them.
And this is it. Like what you're saying exactly the thing. Like, on one hand, sports is accessible to everybody, and everybody does have the same right to discuss sports. But the problem is how they do it. Like this guy that I was in the chat room just a few minutes ago was the guy that was talking about how Brian is the problem with Scottie. Oh, yeah. And I was like, Rob knows Brian. Do you? Do you know Brian? Like, why would you say something like that? Like, if you suspect that his training is the problem, then you dig in a little bit. And then even if you don't, maybe you could say like, hey, Rob, you know Brian. I don't know Brian, but I'm seeing things that I'm wondering, is perhaps his training lacking in this area? And then ask you a question because you would actually know better. Instead of saying like, get rid of Brian, he needs a new trainer, Brian's the problem. This is the problem with people discussing sports, or saying like, Scottie's a bum, trade Scottie. This is the problem. No, trading Scottie does not solve the problem. And it's not even identifying the problem.
Yeah. I mean,
it's just,
look,
it's the way
if
they
y'all
discuss
do
it.
trade him, can you please trade him to San Antonio so that I can cover him? Like, I just, yeah, like the thing with Brian is, I think Brian is just such a great guy. He's such a great guy, man. Like, nothing but positivity ever. Right? Like, when all the shit was negative around Scottie Barnes, I'll share this with this community. I don't know if he's watching this, if I say this, but he was the last person who wanted to entertain any of that negativity. Didn't want to talk about it, didn't want to hear about it, never. Didn't want to, even give air to it. And I was like, that's great. That's great. The person training him is not feeding the negativity cycle. Brian is like a very centered individual. He does a lot of things. He's obviously very good at his craft. He was a 5'8" Division I basketball player. Do you understand how good you have to be at basketball to be a 5'8" Division I basketball player? Holy shit. Brian's shorter than me, and he made Division I basketball. He pretty much pursued the dream that I quit on. And I have a lot of respect for anybody who has trained multiple NBA players the way he has, who has, he's very business minded. He's extremely intellectually curious, extremely smart, very forward thinking in his approach to training Scottie, and also like overall life, like business, everything. I'm always thankful that Scottie has Brian in his corner because he's just a really good person. You want to have, like, I'm very happy that Scottie has so many good people in his corner. And it's particularly because he has so many good people in his corner that he's been able to shield himself from the negativity of this insane fan base. But yeah, like, I think it's weird. People want to meme everybody. They want to make everyone into a kind of caricature. Like, I'm positive that there's somebody out there who's just like, that's the blurry teacher guy. You're the blurry teacher now.
Am I still blurry?
That's your whole life. That's your whole personality. That's who you are. I'm going to reduce everything in your life for the last, some almost 40 years. And I'm going to sum it up into blurry teacher guy with a microphone at a cafe trying to, not even, it's so reductive. It's so stupid. Like, why can't we have a more nuanced conversation about how the player who is the most connective player in your starting lineup is struggling to play in a new lineup? That makes sense.
And that's another thing. I hate it when people are saying the Raptors aren't playing with a new lineup. They only added BI. It's not a new lineup. Dude, it is just simply adding BI makes it a new lineup. Just simply having W. That's it, man. That's it right
Professor
there.
Pixel.
I should change my I should literally change my YouTube handle to that. That's good.
I love it. Thank you so much, Sean K. That was much needed comedic relief. Sorry, you were saying.
Yeah, was I?
you were.
Yeah, I'm sure I was. I'm sure I was making a brilliant point that now no one will ever get to hear. Thanks a lot, Sean K.
No, you can blame me for it. Don't blame Sean K. I'm joking. I childishly had to like just share that with you. I'm like, do you see your nickname? It's perfect.
No, I didn't see it. I should have.
It's actually it's pretty fire. I'm not gonna lie to you. Professor Pixels is a great.
No, it's better. Nickname. It's better than anything I was gonna say. So yeah.
Okay.
I'm sure it is.
Well, I don't know, man. Like,
one thing I was gonna talk to you about is.
Sure.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
All right. Now, one thing I was gonna say is. I think you're spot on about the way that Scottie's playing right now is obviously trying to avoid injury. And there's another YouTube Raptors content creator that I regularly talk with. And I was talking with him a couple of days ago about this. I was like, I think like it seems obvious to me that that Scottie does not want to get injured, and he's trying to figure out ways to contribute on offense in a way that's not going to get him hurt, so that he doesn't have to sell out on defense, so that he can go as hard as he wants. And the way to do that is to take more threes, take more range shots, to, you know, not bump and crash in the paint so much. And so that's, people are saying like, oh, he's settling for threes. No, that's, again, I hate that word, settling. He's not settling. He's figuring out how to be maximally productive and impactful. Like if you want him crashing in there with these 7-foot guys and then like rolling his ankle after 3 games, is he going to be a maximum impact player on the Raptors this season? No. Like, use some logic, people.
Yeah. I agree with you. Your internet's cutting out pretty bad. Nick Bullard saying, is anyone else going to the Raptors coaches open house on Friday? This is a great opportunity, by the way, for everybody who's interested. I was going to go. I'm not sure I'm going to go right now, but I was thinking about going. I definitely went last year, and it was really fun. If you want to learn about basketball, definitely consider the Raptors open house coaching. It starts, I think doors open at 7 a.m., so you're going to have to obviously skip work that day, 8 a.m. I think the thing starts at 9 a.m. You get taken through with, you get to watch a live scrimmage, which is pretty cool. So, yeah, I'm thinking about going, but honestly, with my notoriety or, you know, reputation in this fan base, I might go with a mask on. But, yeah. So, yeah, I think this speaks to a broader point about why Scottie keeps rolling his ankle. Like, obvious. Like, this is my concern. And one part of the concern was at least partially solved last year because he started wearing ankle braces. And that was a really smart move. And it took Vince Carter telling him that, which to me is crazy, that nobody on the Raptors' own coaching staff said, like, yo, you rolled your ankle 15 times. We need to put some ankle tape and like tape your ankles. I think taping your ankles as a basketball player, I've done it before myself. It does take some adjusting to get used to, because there's like a certain extension that you're used to that you just don't get anymore, and you just have to kind of play into it. That being said, I think it's made him a little bit more tight and rigid with his movement. Like, he just doesn't seem as fluid athletically now that he's taping his ankles. And maybe he's over aggressively taping his ankles right now. We don't know what he's going through. We know that he had a hand issue at the open practice. We know that by the reporting, this is not me making it up, that he had tendonitis. Tendonitis, typically, if you've had jumper's knee, I've had it, some people have had it, it takes about 4 weeks to clear up, minimum 3 to 4 weeks. And you're not supposed to be like putting a lot of pressure on yourself during that time. He is a really connective part of the Raptors offense and defense. And he is like whatever I claim to be in the Raptors media space, like trying to be the voice of balance. He is that for the Raptors lineup. He is balance. He is harmony for the Raptors lineup. If you put Scottie on a team with Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and Tim Duncan, he might take 2 shots the whole game and he'll be the best defender in the world. If you put him on a team with one other offensive player and, you know, 3 just catch and shoot guys, he's just going to be a drive it downhill. The problem with Scottie is he can do so many things. There's so many things he can realistically do. He's not a 2-dimensional, 3-dimensional, 4-dimensional, 5-dimensional player. He's like a 20-dimensional player. So the idea is, like Jordan, like all those greats who were also 20-dimensional players, how do you harness yourself in the 2 to 3 directions that you're actually going to specialize in? And the truth is, specialization requires experimentation to come before, right? What do we do when we go through high school? We take a poli-sci class, we take a technology class, a business class, a math class. Even though we're not about to become mathematicians, scientists, chemists, physicians, astrophysicists, we may take a creative writing class, even though we're not going to become creative writers. We're never going to write a book, but we take it. We take a sewing class, a home ec class. We take all of these classes to dabble in the things that we may one day wish to pursue. Right now, I think the Raptors use the last year and a half, that a lot of people have decided that they're just going to write Scottie off because he's not very good unless they have used the last year and a half to experiment with his game, to have him understand for himself, what is it that I can do and can't do. Darko Rajakovic had a quote where he said, if you're good at one thing, do you remember this quote? If you're good at one thing,
if you're good at one thing, you yeah, I think it was something like, if you're good at one thing, you may make the NBA. If you're good at two things, you could be a star. If you're good at like more than two things, you're not even going to be in the league, something like that.
So if I'm not mistaken, it was, if you're good at one thing, you'll be in the NBA. If you're good at two things, you might be a starter. If you're good at three things, you can be a superstar. If you're good at four things, you'll be in Europe.
Yeah, that sounds
so
right.
Basically, the point here is LeBron James has a play type. To anyone who's a bit more casual about basketball but has access to NBA 2K, go look at your player bio on the edit section and go down, and it says dominant play type. Play type 1, play type 2, play type 3. It can say pick and roll ball handler. It can say 3-point shooter. It can say mid-range assassin. It can say whatever. Those are role man. You got to have a type. You got to have something that you go to. Then you have another thing that you go to the counter. And honestly, Scottie has a lot of places on the court that he has proven over his years that he can score. He's proven himself for months on end to be a really good corner catch and shoot 3-point shooter. He's shown an ability to get clean separation on mid-range pull-ups and fadeaways. He's shown an ability to get downhill at will in the biggest moments of the game. He's shown an ability to be a dominant point of attack defender, low man. So these are all things. And as the data model continues to build, and believe me, the Raptors track his data, track his movement, track his success and failure on the court better than anybody. They are deeply invested in this guy. They've paid $38 to $40 million and have signed him for 5 years to be their franchise player. They are deeply invested in finding out what he can be because nobody knows yet. And this thing about not knowing, I think, points to something deeper in the psychology of people, which is, if I can't explain you in one sentence or less, it's probably just going to result in hate. When something is too complicated, instead of trying to unpack the complication, we tend to resort to just hating it. If somebody comes out and, makes a very biased point about Israel, maybe that guy that we banned earlier, very anti-Semitic, we'll know that guy is the anti-Semitic guy. Now, you and I may not like anti-Semitic people, but there's a whole world of people out there that do like anti-Semitic people and will champion that guy as their new hero content creator. But then if that guy comes on the next day and says, actually, many good people in Israel, I want to take a more balanced approach to this. Well, now all the people that signed up to watch you hate Jewish people are now confused about what the hell you're doing. So now you appeal to nobody. You're too complicated. You're too nuanced. And I'd rather just say that guy's a bum. That guy's a crap YouTuber. He don't know what he's doing. People oversimplify themselves because I think it's better to be oversimplified than misunderstood in this world.
People want to put simple labels on things, and Scottie is not the kind of player that you can put a simple label on. BI, you can do that. You can put a label on BI. And when you watch him play, you're like, yeah, I labeled him correctly. BI is awesome. We love what he's doing. He's the only good Raptor. That's what people are saying, And of course, I can understand why. I can understand why people are saying that, because he is fitting the label that they put on him. That's it.
If Brandon Ingram and Scottie Barnes both have the exact same game, 20 points, 10 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 block, 2 turnovers, 8 for 22 shooting, the word on BI is, wow, we finally have a 20-point per game scorer. The word on Scottie Barnes is, I can't believe he shot 8 for 22. Why is it that we are willing to hold a 23-year-old so-called zero-level scorer to a higher offensive standard than your former all-star who's 28 years old and is making every bit as much money? It's a completely stupid thing. And I promise you, this 8 for 22 game from Scottie Barnes, I'll go through his basketball index and find you every single time he scored inefficiently 20 points. And we can go to the live and have the entire chat log, and people will be like, but he didn't shoot even 50%. Well, why don't you say that about Brandon Ingram? That's the point that I'm making. I love Brandon Ingram.
Sure.
Please don't let this toxic ass fan base make me turn on Ingram, because I love Ingram. I loved Ingram since freaking Duke.
Yeah.
Okay. I've loved Ingram my whole life. Don't make me hate him. Okay. But y'all need to call shit an ace and ace. Brandon Ingram got smoked at the rim twice tonight, blocked twice. He smoked layups tonight. He forced shots tonight. He had a couple of bad defensive plays. I still would argue he was the Raptors' best offensive player tonight, but that's not saying much. Their offense was terrible. I don't think he was the problem. I'm gonna be honest. I don't think he was the problem at all. But I also don't think Scottie was the problem. You know, so it's very weird to me, this sort of tribalistic thing. And I will say this: superstars move mountains. They shift the tectonic plates. When LeBron got to Cleveland, he was one of the most polarizing athletes in Cleveland. There were a lot of people that were very hyped about him, a lot of people that hated him. His teammates especially were very, very quick to say, he ain't saving us. Ricky Davis is already better than him. Blah, 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 blah. Within a couple of years, every single player from that team was gone, and LeBron became LeBron. Scottie Barnes is very interesting because Scottie Barnes got here, and immediately the same arc has played out. Obviously, to much less success than LeBron, but to a smaller mini scale. Like Toronto is a mini New York. Well, Scottie is a mini Scottie. Scottie is a mini LeBron in this sense. Like every player is gone from that 2021 team. We're in 2025. That's not a long time. Your entire roster has cleared out. You've gotten rid of all the players that didn't want to, ride along with him. You gotten rid of a ton of players who don't fit with him. Now I think you got to, optimize the roster around him now to develop these younger players. But I think, it's interesting. This organization picked a direction, and the direction was him. And they didn't give up Darius Miles and Ricky Davis and those guys. They gave up Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby, Fred VanVleet. Like they gave up all stars, right? So I understand at the same time that some people are like, whoa, whoa, whoa. We gave up all that to clear the way for this. I understand that that's part of the frustration, but I also understand the person who made the decision to do that is the same guy who put those guys in Toronto in the first place, who is notoriously emotional about his guys. So if he looked at Scottie on one side and Pascal and Fred on the other side, and he chose Scottie, you have to understand what that means for how he viewed Scottie. And this is the guy who we say spotted Shea. This is the guy who spotted Giannis. This is the guy who identified OG, Pascal. This is a great scout. Masai Ujiri may be a lot of things, too emotional, too stubborn, too hard to deal with. I still say if my organization could make one hire, it would be him as a scout. He is a great scout. He watched Scottie Barnes every single day. He talked to Scottie Barnes every single day. He saw him work every single day. He saw him play every single day. He watched him in summer. He watched him in summer league, preseason, draft. He talked to him. He had tons of off-court, off-the-record conversations with him, and he decided to build around this dude. I remember trusting Masai. When did that go away?
Yeah. I'm with you. I'm totally with you on this. And I think that most of the real ones are. You got a lot of people in the chat that are coming over from PC, Rob. You know that.
I feel like we do, but honestly, like, would it surprise you if I would say this chat right now is way less toxic than it was 2 years ago when Scottie went through his second year slump? It's way less toxic, in my opinion. This is tame compared to that shit. This is tame. So all the PC negativity cannot possibly, like, obviously someone's going to look at the box score and be like, 26 minutes played, 3 for 13, 0 for 2 from 3, 1 for 2 from the line. He's terrible, but you didn't watch the game, And I'm not gonna sit here and argue he had a great game, but like, I mean, I also am not going to judge a guy who doesn't care about preseason. According to some people, doesn't give a shit about preseason. I'm not going to judge him for not caring about preseason. He's got bigger fish to fry. This Raptors team's got way bigger problems than Scottie Barnes right now. They have a lot of mismatched pieces in the starting lineup. Who do you think needs to adjust, and what's one thing that you would change? And then we'll end it. But yeah,
sure. Yeah, good question. IQ needs to be a gunner. He needs to bend defenses with his long shooting. He needs to be taking shots from 5 feet beyond the arc. He needs to be catching the ball and pulling up and shooting immediately. That's what he's the best at. That's the only way that he could possibly earn his salary. That's the only way that he can actually fit in with the other members of the starting roster. He can't continue to stop and look around and waste the advantage that was gained, the transition advantage that was gained. He does that every single time. He wastes the advantage. And miss a three, I don't care, but take it.
I agree.
Right?
I agree completely.
Yeah, if I had to change one thing, that would be it. I really think that would unlock a lot. I'm not worried about Jakob. I think he'll come back. He's just working himself up into game shape, and we know who he is. He's a very known commodity. He does what he does well. I'm not worried about BI. He is also who he is. RJ, the defense. I keep hoping, but yeah. Anyway, I'll keep being optimistic about him, that he will continue to at least put effort and to be part of it. And as long as RJ keeps hitting open shots, I'm okay. I can live with him being in the starting lineup, but I'm with you. I would trade him if we could.
Yeah. I think I see the value of putting drivers next to Scottie and BI. I get that. So in theory, I get what RJ can do. I just don't know if he's good enough to do what he's supposed to do. Hitting corner threes and driving to the basket. I'd rather have Trey Murphy. I'd rather have Jonathan Kuminga. There's a lot of I'd rather have. I'd rather have Malik Monk. There's a lot of like guys who can do this kind of role, but they can space the court better. They read the court better. They make a little less money. RJ is,
and they can play defense.
Eligible. Yes, RJ is extension eligible. Ochai is extension eligible. One of these guys is not getting an extension. I'll guarantee it, because the way this cap sheet is structured out, they have to choose between these two guys. I think the choice is pretty obvious. If Ochai is reasonable, you're going to have to move off of RJ, and let us pray that Bobby Webster does not have the same toxic tendency that Masai Ujiri had, which is dragging his feet until the final possible moment, at which point the rest of the league picks up on the fact that you are, frankly, desperate. And the thing about RJ is right now, the Raptors have a vested interest that he not look bad. That's the guy you're exhibiting. I don't care if Scottie looks bad. I don't want RJ to look bad, because I know he's getting traded. Like, I'll bet any amount of money that he or Quickly or both are not going to be on this team past the deadline. They're not dipping into the tax for this bullshit team. So at this point, you need those two guys to play well so you can actually get the roster pieces that you need. Like, this is just logical. Have you looked into game theory?
I've heard you talk about it. I haven't really looked into it much myself.
I want to do a live on game theory. I've been getting into it a lot. And the more you get into game theory, you realize this just unlocked my whole life. Everything in life is game theory. Every situation with another person is pretty much game theory. Yeah, you playing Sudoku is not game theory, but you and I having a conversation can be to some form game theory. Basketball is definitely game theory, and understanding basketball through the lens of game theory and understanding basketball management through the lens of game theory, you come down to the prisoner experiment. And there's this thing about, like, okay, so for instance, two people, right? There's two people, right? And they're both being interrogated. And then they're told something to the effect of, if you confess and the other person confesses, like if you both choose to admit to your crime, there will be this punishment. If you confess and the other person doesn't confess, there will be this outcome. And then if vice versa, if neither of you confess, then you'll both go to prison for the rest of your life or something like that. And so simulating that out is trying to find what is the safest outcome, what is the best possible outcome. And all of that comes into, I think, how the Raptors manage with game theory. I think there's a lot of game theory going on in terms of how Bobby Webster manages it. And reading about game theory has given me a greater insight into Bobby's world. And Bobby's world is about taking the most, how shall I put this? Flexible option always.
Yeah.
There is a great precedent placed on not swinging for absolute outliers and fences and whatever, not banking on 2%, but actually very strongly considering the downside upside risk ratio. And whereas I think a lot of teams are willing to take swings on the Tijon Salons and stuff of the world, the Raptors will prefer more guys with more pedigree upper in the draft, right? Scottie represents a very safe floor for a pick in the top 5. There's no chance he's going to be a bad player. No chance. He's going to be a really solid starter no matter what. Can we build the rest of it up, right? Worst case scenario, absolute worst case scenario, he settles into a second or third option on a really good championship team. That's a very valuable thing. And by the way, where did the OKC Thunder find their third option? At number 2 in the draft, Chet Holmgren. Where did they find their number 2 option? Number 12 in the draft. Teams typically find top 3 options at the top of the draft. If you want to look at the San Antonio Spurs, Stephon Castle, top 5 pick. Dylan Harper, top 5 pick. Carter Bryant, lottery pick. Victor Wembanyama, first overall pick. I think there's a world in which Scottie does eventually become a second option. It wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Could happen. Steph Curry played second option for a couple of years. Shit. Like D Wade played second option. This is not a bad thing. Only in this fan base can this ever be considered a bad thing. Of course, the potential to become a first option is still there for him, I think. But the downside of him, CMB, Grady, what's the worst any of these players can be? They're not going to be out of the league. They're going to have jobs. They're going to have long-term careers. So the worst Grady is going to be is the 7th or 8th guy on a championship roster. The worst thing CMB is going to be a really good rotation big or a really good rotation piece on a championship roster. You keep stacking these players together, and it's just like you kind of understand how the Raptors go for this safe route, right? So, yeah.
Well, that might be the way to do it. We'll see.
Yeah. I think Ingram represents a bit of a swing departure, if you will, a little bit. And I think occasionally you need to go for that too, right? And I'm curious to see if RJ is traded, will it be to that? I am actually very curious. You mentioned the Sacramento Kings, and I'm assuming you caught on to the fact that they signed Russell Westbrook to join their
that was the last thing I was going to tell
band of idiots. Oh my God, that's the worst organization in the history of the world.
This is how I was actually planning on phrasing my last point when you were like soon going to say, do you have any final thoughts, Daryl, or Professor Pixel, if you will? And I was going to say, do you think that the Sacramento Kings made a good move by signing Russell Westbrook? And why do you think it's a terrible move? Oh my goodness. If there was one team in the league that I would bet money would do this, it would have been the Kings. It's so on brand. My goodness.
I think too much has been made or not made of Russell Westbrook's impact last year. First of all, did you know that he had his best corner shooting season last year?
Yeah, I
ever.
Did. Yep.
44%. Right?
Yeah.
And he also had
great.
And he had his lowest usage season last year, finally getting below 25%. So he showed that he could buy in. But he showed he could buy in on a team with Nikola Jokic, with championship aspirations, that had to calm him down multiple times with Jamal Murray. On a team with DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, Domantas Sabonis, he's not buying into shit. He's coming off the bench.
He's going to come in there. He's going to think that he's the leader of that team.
Absolutely. And I mean, it'll probably be very daunting for him right away to realize that Dennis Schroeder is the starting point guard. But it's like, what does this do for Devin Carter that you used a lottery pick on for some reason? I don't know. I never understood that Devin Carter pick. I never understood the Marvin Bagley pick. This is honestly the worst run organization. I like Keegan Murray, but you picked Keegan Murray over Jaden Ivey, Dyson Daniels, Benedict Mathurin, players with so much more upside and players who are probably going to become better players than him. It is just insane to me that this organization, Vivek Ranadive, has run this organization into the ground. He is personally just a dude I cannot stand. And it just might be a bit of a bias from that Stauskas clip. But yo, that Stauskas, like, go back. They promised CJ McCollum and Dame Lillard that they were going to draft them and then didn't draft them and then drafted Buddy Hield, I believe, and Nick Stauskas. What? Oh my God. Oh, shout outs to Leo, shout outs to Ox, but holy crap, man. Like that is such a bad team. And it's just like, you know, the sucky thing is DeMar could help somebody off the bench. He's a good player. Not in the role that they have. Zach LaVine could be a perfect third option somewhere. Domantas Sabonis could be a really decent third option somewhere. Dennis Schroeder is a pretty decent starting point guard. I have a lot more respect for him today than I did for him when he was in Toronto. Keegan Murray. I would love Keegan Murray on this team. Keegan Murray in place of RJ Barrett. Problem solved. Everything solved. Perfect. Great basketball, But man, put those pieces together, it just doesn't work. I am actually really scared that the Toronto Raptors actually have a perfect parallel for the Sacramento Kings. The 2006 New York Knicks. The team with Jalen Rose, Eddie Curry, Penny Hardaway, that was just stacking together like a whole bunch of big names. And it's just like, these don't work. Like sometimes teams think that you can just add a whole bunch of talented players and it just works. And fans are
Steve Nash Lakers,
right. Like someone explained to me why Shaq and Kobe were better with Rick Fox and Robert Horry and Horace Grant and those guys, Ron Harper. Like explain why that iteration of the team was better than the one with Malone and Peyton. Or go explain why the Lakers were winning championships before Nash and Howard showed up. It's just like the pieces have to work. They have to fit. Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic, basketball heaven synergy, right? Right now, Scottie Barnes and Ochai Agbaji, very good synergy. Brandon Ingram and Sandro Mamukelashvili, brilliant synergy. In theory, Emmanuel Quickley and Jakob Poeltl, brilliant synergy. There are so many iterations of this that have to go through a coaching staff. And I think at some point, the Raptors coaching staff is going to determine, if they haven't already determined, which I believe they have determined, their starting lineup doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. It doesn't work. Yeah. So the only way the starting lineup can work is by sustaining its minutes. Now, most teams, their starting lineup is their go-to to close the game, to open the game, set the tone, etc. This team, that's just not the case. Your best lineup this year, I'll guarantee you 100% sight unseen. I would bet any amount of money. The best performing lineups, there will be 10 to 12 better performing lineups than that starting lineup. It's just not good. Unfortunately, Scottie, BI, IQ, RJ, they're all going to suffer for it. At this point, you need RJ or IQ, because it ain't going to be the other three, to go to the coach and say, listen, in order to make this work, I'm happy to come off the bench because I can see right now from a basketball standpoint, this shit ain't going to work. Or you can keep drumming your head into the wall and everyone's going to suffer and everyone's numbers are going to look worse, including Ingram, including Yak, including Scottie. Everyone's going to be worse off for it because the unit doesn't make sense. And you tank everyone's trade value when you inevitably need to make a trade. So Bobby Webster needs to get ahead of this. It was interesting to see on the broadcast, they were showing, Bobby Webster talking to the team in their team meeting, and he was talking a little bit like a coach. Very interesting. That's like his hands-on approach. Like Masai never talked to the team like a coach. Bobby Webster was kind of like, I need you to pay attention to what you're seeing out there. He wasn't giving like the general hopes and dreams speech that Masai would give, where like, guys, we're here to win. No, he was literally trying to be like, y'all better play smart basketball or you're getting fucking shipped. So it's very interesting. I very much doubt that the Raptors have changed their mind at all on building around Scottie. I think they're very much committed to it. I think, this preseason hasn't gone well for him. And honestly, the season that he came out and absolutely dominated the league and came out shooting, he had a really good preseason. So if we're going to assume that, he might start out the season shooting really cold, and I hope he doesn't. So I hope he turns it around soon. He has some days off right now. It's Thursday night. Next game, Sunday, Nets. And then the Raptors play the Atlanta Hawks on Wednesday. And if there's one team that Scottie Barnes is really known for cooking up, it is ironically the Atlanta Hawks. So hopefully he'll get his revenge on, that day. But yeah, overall, I love having Brandon Ingram in Toronto, man. It's been good. Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Daryl.
Good talk, man.
For calling in. Thank you, Professor Pixel.
Yep.
That's never
that might be the longest lasting legacy of this live is going to be that probably.
Maybe. Yeah. Or your Scottie is pressing different buttons, which I thought was a really, really great point. All right, man. Talk to you later. Thanks a lot. Yeah.
Yep.
See ya. Bye.
See ya.
Bye. Okie doke. Well, thank you to Daryl for calling in and making this live a lot more positive than it could have been otherwise, because quite frankly, we were going down a very dangerous road of me crashing out and not having a very fun thing. Listen, I've noticed this on PC a couple times where basketball should be fun. Okay, let's just be real. It shouldn't be this stressful. It shouldn't be this toxic. It shouldn't be this combative. It shouldn't be this stressful. It really shouldn't be. You know, we're not in the playoffs. We're not in a game 7. This shit is not high stakes. It's preseason. It's preseason, right? So it shouldn't result in this level of stress from anybody, frankly. Nobody should be coming in here being like trade half the team, quite frankly. And nobody really needs to be crashing out over one player shooting poorly or, you know, one player not rotating or whatever. These are symptoms, obviously, of a larger trend that has extended through multiple years of these players' careers. So when we see those things like lazy off-ball defense, poor finishing, poor processing, etc., these are, in my opinion, opportunities to learn the game. These film sessions are designed to help us slow down the game so that we can better spot it, so that when we do have these call-ins with people like Daryl, with people like Coach Mo, whatever, but with anyone who calls in, and I'm sure our call-ins will be more frequent and lively during the regular season, it's so that we can actually have like deep discussions about the game. That's all I've ever wanted. I've wanted this fan base to, you know, pick up the game a little bit more deeply. Now, I would love to address this comment. This comment by Shaky Bakey. The difference with Cade is that he turned it around. Scottie has regressed. Okay, so here's the thing, Shaky Bakey. Go look at, well, that's not going to help. My bad. Give me one sec here. Well, that doesn't help at all. What the hell, man? Can I just move myself to the other side? There we go. Y'all can still hear me. Perfect. That's reality, man. The reality is Scottie has played almost 70 more games. He has a higher value of replacement, a higher box plus minus, a higher effective field goal percentage. He turns the ball over way less. He shoots better from the field. He grabs more rebounds. He has more steals and more blocks. What are you complaining about? One of these players was NBA ready and was being compared to Luka fucking Doncic. The other one, by the way, who is more foul prone, a way worse defender, although I will agree, Cade turned it around. Per 100 possessions, on their 2-point percentage, it's 52.2 versus 49.3. Now, again, Cade had a lot of bad seasons, and then he had a great season last year. I hear that. Cade had a really great season last year. Cade last season was better than every single Scottie season, but don't get it twisted. These two players, who were teammates in high school, by the way, have played a combined 8 seasons. Here's how I would rank their seasons. Number 1 season, Cade 2024, 2025, last season. Number 2 season, Scottie Barnes 2023, the previous season. Number 3 season would be, let me think about this, Scottie rookie season, maybe? Or Scottie last season. Scottie last season was better than his rookie season. So Scottie last season. Then the next one would probably be Cade 2023. Then the next one would be a Scottie season. And then the final bottom 2 would be both Cade seasons. So my point here is, yes, Cade has had the best possible season of all these players. That is true. And yes, it is the recent season, the one that just passed. And a year ago feels like an eternity for some people who have, you know, no patience. But when Cade had a really terrible setting and Scottie had a really terrible setting, one of these players lost 27, 28 straight games. Okay? One of these players was way worse in that setting. You suck. I want to tell you this right now. Every single comment you have written over the last 3 weeks has burned me. Like, it's not burned me. It's like it tickles a part of my brain that makes me want to vomit. You're leaving out context. Cade played with a dog shit team worse than any Scottie's roster even last year. Please go look at Cade's roster 2 years ago. Worse than Cole Swider, Orlando Robinson, Colin Castleton. Do you know that Scottie played a year ago? So last season, half of Scottie's teammates weren't even in the league the next year. Worse than Davion Mitchell? How is Malachi Flynn worse on offense than Davion Mitchell? Jesus Christ, man. You think you're a lot smarter than you really are, man. We were getting Javon Freeman Liberty minutes. If Cade had to carry those rosters, Cade would be even worse. Name me a player more talented than Cade played with than Poeltl, RJ, and IQ then. Tobias Harris. Easily Tobias Harris. Are you insane? Tobias Harris is a better player than those three players easily last season. Yeah, he was. Easily. Tobias is underrated like hell. Like, what are we doing here? Tobias was a legit two-way player. Jaden Ivey is a more talented player, more raw, talented player. You want to talk about defense? Asar Thompson. When has Scottie Barnes played with a defender on the level of Asar Thompson other than maybe OG Anunoby? Like, come on now. And they both played with Malachi Flynn. Don't leave that part out. That was last season. I'm talking when the Pistons were tanking. Dude, Isaiah Stewart is a decent player. Jalen Duren is a decent player. Neither of these players should ever be put in conversation with Colin Castleton. Like, I'm not even talking shit about Colin Castleton, Orlando Robinson, and all these players that Scotty's played with. But let's just be real. Dennis Schroeder and Malachi Flynn have played with both players. Both players were all-stars the season Dennis Schroeder played with them. There's a reason for that. Okay? Dennis Schroeder made a lot of shit easier for these guys. He organizes the offense, and that's one of his deep skills. Dennis Schroeder is a really good organizer of offense. He may not be a superstar, but that's okay. He's just a solid veteran NBA point guard. And solid gets you a really long way. Tobias Harris, Dennis Schroeder, Malik Beasley, hella solid, bro. Who do you think Jakob Poeltl is? Who the hell do you think Jakob Poeltl is? You think Jakob Poeltl is a top 20 center, top 15 center? Just because you pay him like one doesn't make him one. He's not that good. He's okay. He's an okay starting center. He's an okay starting center. Emmanuel Quickley is an okay to probably below average starting point guard. A top 20 center. List up the centers in the NBA. You'll find a lot of debate at 20 for Jakob Poeltl. A lot. A lot. I guarantee you. A lot. Anyways, man, this live's been dope. Not really. It hasn't been dope, man. I don't like this. I don't like how insanely toxic this fan base gets every single time we lose a game. I think there was a lot of positives tonight. There's also a lot of negatives tonight. And, you know, take them all in stride. This is what preseason is for. It's to work out the kinks. It's to get, you know, your reps. It's to, you know, figure out some things, figure out what lineups work, what doesn't work. I think Colin Murray-Boyles and Grady Dick are essential to this team because they both provide a ton of space. Now, I know that people don't think of Colin Murray-Boyles as providing space, but he might be your second best screener on this team apart from Jakob Poeltl. And he has really good driving chops that are probably second only to RJ Barrett. But unlike RJ Barrett, he has like the sort of strength to finish through contact a little bit better. So I think that CMB being really good will have 75% of the impact of Scottie Barnes as a rookie being really good, which is to say he's a perfect glue guy for all of these lineups that you're trying to run out there. He's very capable offensively of making the connective pass. He's already smarter as a basketball player than 75% of your roster, and that's not even gassing it. That's truth. As a rookie, he walks in, he's a supercomputer. He sees the game really well, and I think I'm really looking forward to CMB and Scottie minutes. Unfortunately, we didn't see a lot of minutes with CMB and Scottie. I think those two are going to be able to wreak havoc defensively, and I'm curious to see who is going to join them in that pursuit. But they can be really, really fun, a fun duo trio to watch. And again, you know, I brought it up in Samson's live. You know, I'm curious to see who is the other starter with Brandon Ingram to floor lift bench lineups. But I like the fact that we have the tools now where we can experiment with maybe RJ and IQ floor lifting a bench lineup. I mean, that lineup is good enough to maybe hold water against the bench. I think if you want to look at any sort of takeaway, depressing takeaway from this game, the Celtics pretty much benched a lot of their main players by the end of the game. I mean, yeah, Derek White was still playing into the fourth quarter. Peyton Pritchard continued to play throughout, but you had like full-on starter units. Like you had 4 starters, 3 starters on, and you couldn't find a way to score on this team. And this is a team that's trying to tear it down. Granted, you didn't shoot well, You didn't play well. You didn't start out with the right energy. Your starting lineup is working out the kinks. This is the first official game they've played against other people. But they got a lot of work to do because in 7 days, they're going to go up against the Atlanta Hawks and get absolutely blown out of the building if they don't change something really fast. Because Trae Young, Jalen Johnson look really sharp in preseason. I can tell you right now, Jalen Johnson looks amazing in preseason. They've got all sorts of length to bother, BI, Scottie, etc. And if you think that Brandon Ingram is going to single-handedly go out like he's Luka Doncic and score over 3 defenders, you're insane. It ain't going to happen. He can't do it. And so he's going to need his teammates to show up, and his teammates can't be cutting into his driving lanes. So all I'm saying is, if I was running this team right now, I'm fielding calls for every single player on this team right now that's not named Scottie Barnes, not named Brandon Ingram, not named Jakobi, CMB. Literally anyone. I'm open. I'm open. Lauri Markkanen, Trey Murphy. I need something different on this team. So yeah. Anyways, I'll talk to y'all later. Big shout out to Daryl for calling in. Shout outs to Professor Pixel. That is a fire nickname. And my only regret is that I didn't come up with it myself. All right. Talk to y'all later. And please hit like on this video on your way out. Peace.